What is up, my friends in film fandom? We are here. Last show. Oh my goodness. Last show. This is it. 2022 wraps up tonight here on the Heart Screw. It's been a party. It's been a fun year. It's been a fun year indeed. A lot of great movies to talk about. And here to talk about all these really good movies with me are my amazing cohorts. You can see Jeremy dressed up for the occasion. He was the only one that did. So props to Jeremy for going all out on the last show of the year. But yeah, plenty to go into tonight. And I'm very, very glad to have all my friends here with me to go into all of it. Of course, the first one being the Dowager Countess, Lady Cora. How are you tonight, ma'am?
I'm great. The snow is melting. Life is good. Until the next storm. But yeah. Things are good.
Yeah, it went from, I don't know, Jay, what was it in our neck of the woods? It was 0 or -1 or 2 with a wind chill of -15. Was it 4 or 5 days ago? Today it was pushing 60.
I had -50 with wind chill here, so.
Yeah, today was pushing 60, so, whatever.
You know,
this area is bipolar.
I'm jealous of your 60 degrees. You can send that west, and then we can send all the Arctic air down to Texas, because Texas loves to freeze.
Well, he really doesn't. But, of course, with me, as always, dressed up in full Hellfire Club garb, is my hetero life mate, Jeremy. What's going on with you today, my brother? Like I said, going all out for the last show of 2022.
Surprised. You're welcome. I even not sponsored, but I even got my honeycomb and my not sponsored by Yoo-Hoo, which is totally actually Yoo-Hoo in there and not chocolate milk.
Is it a coincidence that they are both yellow boxes with blue lettering?
I don't know.
It's very cool.
Aesthetically pleasing stuff that is coordinated by Stranger Things producers and people like that. The colors matter. Colors matter. And also,
figured I'd just rock it out for the end of the year. So
woohoo!
You pull it off. You pull it off too. I don't think I can ever.
Texas dressed up like a Democrat.
That's two, Cora. That's two. You want some more?
That's two, not one. Two.
No, I gave her one a minute ago, and then I'm giving her another one now.
Yeah, he gave her one before I went live. But and of course, our good friend, the Shape from the Lone Star State, my man, just north of our southern border. My man, Tex, what's going on, brother?
See, Jeremy's not the only one pulling off some awesome cosplay. Y'all don't know it, but I'm dressed as the #1 cowboy fan, because Cowboys are on TV. So I had to break out my best foam finger in support. And, I got to say, I think my cosplay beats Mr. Hey, I have girl hair over here. So, it's cool. I mean, he did well. He did fine.
I think hey, Tex, you want to give us a little peek of what's under that hat? I think he's jealous. He's got envy.
No. See, this is what you call aerodynamic. It's just luscious and soft. It's great. It's awesome. So, yeah.
But could you headbang to Metallica? No, you could not.
Hey, I can go buy long hair just like you did too. I don't want to hear anything out of you, mister.
Thank you. I make it work. It's scary close to like my actual hair color and
I would love to see that wig on Frank one of these days.
I want to get.
I'll drive like 10 minutes down the road and go find Frank and fucking give it to him.
I would wear one as long as it was the Joe Dirt mullet. I would wear one if I had one of those. So. See,
we should have done something for the Halloween show.
There you go.
Derailed right from the start of the show. Isn't that just, it's so us. It's so us. Look, obviously the main body of this show, we're going to be going into our 5. Each of us are going to give you our 5 favorite films of the year. Not to mention a couple of films that really disappointed us, but there are a couple of news stories that we want to go into first. Lady Cora, what is the first story we'll be going into tonight?
Well, quite controversially, get your pudding pops ready. Bill Cosby is eyeing a return to the comedy stage after a sexual assault conviction, many convictions, was overturned by the Pennsylvania Supreme Court in June 2021. On Wednesday, the comedian and one-time TV star hinted at a return to touring in 2023 while being interviewed by Scott Spears on his WGH Talk radio show. Cosby was quoted as saying, "There's so much fun to be had in the storytelling that I do. Years ago, maybe 10 years ago, I found it was better to say it after I wrote it. After I write it, excuse me. Cosby's publicist said that he is looking to get back out on the road in the spring or summer of 2023. Frank, are you buying tickets to Bill Cosby's stand-up?
No. Just no.
I would disown you.
Look, as someone who loves the comedy, the stand-up, the history, I mean, I grew up listening to guys like Richard Pryor and stuff like that. So I've heard Bill Cosby stand up from like the 70s and 80s before, and it's quite good. But that was before the stuff all comes to light. We've kind of had these discussions a little bit as these guys keep getting bit in the ass by all the Me Too stuff, Kevin Spacey and other people. But one of the questions that comes around is, can you watch this person's stuff and look at it the same way? To me, I say everything that happened before that, I'm not going to stop enjoying Kevin Spacey stuff that came out before his allegations. I've seen those movies. I've liked a lot of them. They were very good. After that, you can't help but have it affect the way that you see this person's work. It's human nature. Now, so I was never a huge Cosby Show fan. I understand the significance of it in pop culture, the significance of it on TV back in the day. But I can go back and watch a couple episodes of that I remember liking and still like the episodes the way I did for what they were. If he were to come on TV right now, would I watch it? No. If he came out with a Cosby Show Part 2, no. If he came out with some other product that is feeding off of something he did that I like, no. I couldn't do it. But here's what gets me about this whole thing. Is there is no shortage of Bill Cosby sycophants who will 100% pay outrageous gobs of money to go watch this guy speak, or to go watch him, or to support him somehow financially while he's on tour. Because there are people out there who swear up and down that he's innocent because the statute of limitations passed on some of these accusations. Not saying that he did. They're like, I'm not saying he didn't do it. I'm just saying the statute of limitations passed, so he's innocent. No, he's not innocent. We all pretty much know, without any legal findings, what he did. It's not really.
Can I say something real quick? I don't understand why the famous persons get into these situations with the kind of money they bring in. Just go pay for it. That's what I would.
Well, I mean, I see what you're saying. I think it's probably a different point that can be argued, but I see what you're saying. I agree with you. Absolutely. I mean, but there's a lot to be said about, when you get rich and powerful, what turns you on when you were the poor guy living in, in a trailer doesn't turn you on the way that you can go buy this stuff over here. I mean, this is why people end up going to places like Epstein Island, because when you have all these things that are available to you, all these avenues to amuse yourself, what you get to a point where whatever you like that really amuses you isn't good enough, and you have to accelerate to something else, then to something else, and to something else, and that's how you end up on planes to Epstein's Island. So,
do you think he's broke? Because I have a feeling all the money he spent on his legal, I think he's doing this for money to recover all the debt he has for his legal fees.
I think this probably is in large part because of money, which is one of the reasons why I say that there's no shortage of very rich people who will not only help promote and market him, but even spend gobs and gobs of money to go see him wherever he shows up. I mean, you can't tell me that Beyonce and Jay-Z wouldn't pay $1,000 each to go sit in the front row and listen to him tell us stories about, Puddin' Pops or his days on Fat Albert or funny stories from the Cosby Show. And because none of those people are going to ask him the real questions that he really should be answering. None of those people are going to come up and say, "Hey, Bill, why did you choose to dose that chick's drink? Hey, Bill, why did you choose to do these things?" Nobody's going to ask him those questions. They're going to pay a bunch of money that they know is going to end up going into his pocket. And they're going to let him go up there and talk about how great he is as a comedian and all his great things that he's done in entertainment and charity and blah, blah, blah. They're not going to ask him to talk about these things. And that's the scary part to me, is that despite the attention that this particular problem in Hollywood has gotten over the last decade or so, there are still so many people in the industry that promote the growth of this parasite, this cancer. And it's terrifying to me. That's why I've said 100 times, I would love to be famous. I just don't want to have anything to do with fame. I would love for my kids to be actors and to go express themselves like that, or to be musicians and go express themselves like that. But the world that they end up finding themselves in, this bubble that so many people often get trapped in, is one that leads to this shit. And it's sad. And the people that would go and spend gobs of money to even to sit in the nosebleed seats and listen to this guy blather on and about all the good things he did 40 years ago and not look at him and say, dude, you dosed women and you raped them. I mean, there's so many people that would still do that. It's a sign to me that this is why some women still feel like they can't come forward. This is why some women get so touchy when a guy just walks by and says hi or offers a handshake. It's because of guys like this that continually, maybe he didn't get away with it per se. I mean, sure, he's paid a price, not a significant one by my count, but I mean, this makes things worse. If I were his friends, I would look at Bill Cosby and say, bro, enjoy retirement. You've got some residuals coming in for your movies, your TV shows, and your whatever, your past comedy specials you did back in the 70s and early 80s. You live quiet. He's what, 81 or something like that? I mean, dude, he doesn't have much time left. Why spend it out there being a sad shell of what you once were? Stay home, kick it with your wife, try to get that relationship right again before before your life ends. Because I mean, time is fleeting when you get to be 87 years old. I don't know, that's
very true.
That's my thought on the whole thing. I don't know. Tex, what do you think?
Are they going to have OJ as his opening act? If we're just going to throw everything against the wall here, you might as well, right?
He wrote a book, so
right. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, if we're, are they just going to just bring? I mean, obviously Charles Manson is dead, but he was a great storyteller too. That's probably a great 1-2 combo. But yeah, I don't know. There's nothing about Bill Cosby that would make me want to go sit there and listen to him talk and do a pudding pop joke or a Cosby show thing, knowing what he did. I mean, there's nothing. I mean, I've never been a huge Cosby fan, but he's a terrible human being. I don't pay terrible human beings for their product. I'm not going to pay to see The Flash because of Ezra Miller. I'm not going to pay to see an Amber Heard film, and I'm not going to pay to sit down and listen to Bill Cosby ramble on about, stand-up
rewriting
comedy
his history, make it seem like he's not as bad.
Right. You're not going to get my money for that. And, he may have gotten away with it, criminally, but he'll pay you one day. We're all going to meet our maker sooner or later, and he didn't get away with it for lifetime. He just got away with it for now. But no, there's no reason to have a show for this. What you going to do? Travel? An 80-year-old man's going to travel around the country for 2 months? The only people who are going to do that are terrible human beings. No, thank you. So I'd rather set the money on fire than give it to him.
Amen.
No doubt. I mean, Jeremy, what do you think? I mean, it's I know that your generation kind of missed the bulk of Bill Cosby, but I mean, even your generation has got to be well aware of his impact. I mean, he's one of those people that he's been felt. His impact on entertainment has been felt through the ages. So, and I'm sure you know about the story, since the stories itself about his legal problems are fairly recent. I mean, what are some of your thoughts? I mean, would you bother?
No, and I mean, it's like you said, it's not it's not like someone my age doesn't know who this guy is. I mean, as much as we don't want to, you don't want to give this guy the title, but like Frank says, he's a Hall of Famer. He's a big, well-known name, right? So, I mean, it's like when you wake up at 3 a.m, a TV's still on, and George Lopez is blaring in your fucking ear. One of the other things would be the Cosby Show. It's not like it wasn't on. It was always, you couldn't avoid it. So even people my age, I'm sure, have seen it or grown up with parts of the show. But I wouldn't bother. I wouldn't. I mean, even if all this wasn't, I mean, I'm not even really, I wouldn't call myself a fan, so I wouldn't have bothered anyway. But I think the problem is going to be, it's the shock. It's this guy who got accused of doing all these things, went to prison for it, and got out on a technicality or whatever the hell. Somebody's foot was in the wrong place and the wrong mark one day, whatever. And now he's going to go out on tour. I mean, doesn't that get your curiosity? You're like, whoa, I want to go see this. And like Frank said, people will pay to go do that, but fan or not, I don't know. I think that's the problem with it. It's just got too much, that's the news behind the whole thing that's going to generate a lot of your interest in going. But I cannot say that I'm one of them, and I don't know really anyone in their right mind who would be. But hey, just check your drinks when you get in the club, whatever.
My thing, you know protest groups are going to go to every show that he has.
Oh yeah,
You know it's going to be a hectic scene going to one of his women's groups or the Me Too people or whoever that runs out there and does this stuff. And this would probably be the one time that I actually agree with feminist groups.
I was about to say that.
Bill Cosby.
I'll be right there with you.
Right. For this one time, I will fight with you. After that, you go on your own way. But no, this is a very problematic thing. Like, there's everybody in the crowd's only showing up for one thing. They want to hear him talk about the sexual assault stuff. That's all.
Look what happened with Chris Rock after the slap. He did those private, ticket-only events that weren't televised or filmed, and people flocked to them just to see what he would say after the Oscars. So I think you're right.
But Chris Rock didn't rape anybody, so I mean, it's.
No, I'm just saying about the interest to go buy tickets
level, you know what I mean?
to something though. After something controversial happens, and you want to hear what someone's saying who isn't saying anything, So. Well, I don't foresee him ever getting a Netflix deal or getting some type of actual content on a platform or a streaming service. But
I don't know.
Private events like this, he might sell out, unfortunately.
I mean, let's not forget Casey Anthony just had her own deal on Peacock a couple of weeks ago.
And I haven't watched anything on Peacock since. I haven't watched it. But
there's always somebody that's willing to pay for something trashy.
I don't know. Bill Cosby, I think, is untouchable. I think he. I
don't know.
He was convicted. He went to prison. She wasn't. He did for a while, but here's what happened. The prosecution kind of fouled a couple things up. But the case was solid, but because of Pennsylvania state law, technically some of the charges should not have. It's a long story, but he got out of prison on a technicality, not because he's not guilty. So yeah.
No, it wasn't 40. It was 35. My bad. 35 women.
If he had one more, by God, they would have threw the book at him.
Yeah, he's. So.
Well, it's just it's pitiful. People might obviously people are going to go, but it's going to be a morbid curiosity why people would be there. And if he doesn't talk about all the rape allegation stuff, people won't go because I don't think people care about Fat Albert and Cosby Show enough to go to a countrywide tour. I don't see that happening.
That's what I think is going to happen. I think it's not going to be a wide tour like you would see some entertainer go on. He's not going to go on some 30-city tour that's going to take him the better part of a year. I think he's going to very carefully select where he goes. He's going to go to cities where he knows he's going to have a large group that supports him. He's going to go to L.A. He's going to go to Atlanta. He's going to go to New York. Probably Philly, somewhere in Pennsylvania.
Well, let's be honest. He's going to have to be careful about what venues will even book him.
Somebody will. I mean, some of these venues will.
That's money for the venue.
Yeah, because they know that he's going to sell out. So to them, it's not a matter of necessarily them thinking he's good or bad. He's like, yeah, this guy's going to sell out, and we're going to make a chunk of change off him. So, and after a couple of years of having no events where you weren't making any money, it's like some of these events really aren't going to turn down the chance to sell out, even if it is just Bill Cosby. So. That factors into it, I think.
The other thing, like you said, Frank, it's not like it's some big flashy tour. I'm like, well, in a sense, does it have to be? It's not like, oh, if you don't go see this person on tour, I mean, say it's back in the 70s, there's no internet. You may not get the chance to see them. That's why you'd go to a show to see what are the 7 words, Mr. Carlin, tell us. You know what I mean?
Well,
you can't say them on TV because, that ruins the magic of the event. But like, somewhere, everybody is going to see this in some fashion, and maybe not paid for it, but you might see some shit on the internet. There's gonna be memes. This is gonna be a fun time. So I'll see something from it, I'm sure. But
obviously, this is about money. And why wouldn't Cosby do what Chappelle did and on his own, like record something and then sell it to Netflix, like Chappelle did with those first few stand-up specials that he did, because he's doing this for cash, right? So how much more can you make on selling a product to a streaming service, whereas traveling to 5 different cities for a venue where you have an unknown amount of people who are going to show up. To me, it would make more sense to go that way with it. But I guess they really think that they could draw big crowds into this thing and hear him talk about how many sweaters he had on the set of Cosby.
He's better off charging $100 a person and having a Zoom call.
It's just, I mean, go write a book. Go, like I said, go do a
set up a GoFundMe or something for
do
people
something.
Who really want to give you money. I don't know.
I think the public outrage will outweigh any bit of good that he sees that he's going to get out of this. Is he going to get paid? Sure, but all these evil rich people always get paid. That's how it works, unfortunately. But I don't think it's going to benefit him too much. I don't see it working out in the long run.
Well, I think he knows there's not much that he can do for his reputation, so he may as well pad the bank account a little bit. He's going to get. That's a good point. He's going to get other people. I mean, because remember, this is an industry that still thinks that the what's his name, director guy. Why am I drawing a blank on his name? The director
James
guy.
Gunn.
Oh,
no,
you mean
Weinstein? No, not Weinstein. No.
No, he's talking about the older one.
Polanski.
Roman Polanski.
I was like further back. This is an industry that still thinks that Roman Polanski is a good guy, and they go out their way to support him and talk about how great he is.
Right.
I mean, look, I've said it a million times since all this Me Too stuff came to light. This is an industry that, by and large, has just been corrupt down to its DNA almost since its inception. At this point, there is no beating it. You either have to, you're either going to exist in it and go along to get along, or you're going to stand up against it, and you're going to have your career destroyed almost before it starts, or you're just going to stay quiet and hopefully that nobody comes asking you to take a side. That's what most of Hollywood is. A lot of people just want to stay quiet. They don't take a side against anybody their own because they don't want their career to be screwed. So that's what the whole place has been. It's dirty down to its very core. It always has been. Look, from the beginning of the film industry, you've had guys like Mayer, for his first name, from MGM, Metro Goldwyn Mayer, MGM. Mayer. He was notorious for having young actresses come up to his little bungalow that he had on the MGM lot, and was pulling that, hey, you want this movie role? Maybe you come up here and spend some time with me for an hour around lunch.
Oh yeah,
that's. I mean, these stories have been out there for decades. They've never been disputed.
It goes all the way back to the.
Yeah, they've just never really been taught. I mean, Howard Hughes, as much as I like Howard Hughes movies, he was kind of the same way. He had a propensity for going after the hot young girls too. Even when he was dating or married, he was like hanging out publicly with some of these young girls at clubs and bars and restaurants and stuff. So it's like,
who was the guy who was the musician who married his 14-year-old first cousin? I mean,
Jerry Lewis. He just passed away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jerry Lewis. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well,
this whole Jerry Lewis is just weird. I don't think Jerry Lewis really existed that much in the Hollywood.
And Morgan
Jerry Lewis
Freeman
wasn't
still gets away with it. Morgan Freeman raised his wife's granddaughter, not blood related, and was like sleeping with her when she was like 15, 16, 17, divorced his wife and was going to marry the girl. And nobody talks about it, but he's still in movies. So you're right. This is rampant in Hollywood.
Well, and it's, it's worth pointing out, since this can of worms has been opened, all the actresses that come out and speak out against this bad stuff happened to me. Well, they don't say that until after they have went to Hollywood because they wanted that dream and they were willing to do whatever it took. Well, it is, because
I'm a victim of sexual assault, and let me tell you, every woman or person who is a victim of something takes time to process, and some people want to come forward, some people don't. The timeline is different for everybody. So I hear what you're saying. The opportunistic side of it is an element, but I think the majority of victims do not have that label on them.
But there's a difference in a normal sexual assault, which is a horrible thing nobody should ever do, and knowingly signing up to go into a business where it's a very high likelihood of something like this.
I disagree with you. Sexual assault is sexual assault. There's not normal or consenting.
I'm not saying it's normal. I'm saying it's a scale that's different here, is what I'm saying.
I disagree, but to each their own.
Well, I mean, it is what it is. That doesn't matter.
I think what he's saying is this is an environment where it's more rampant. And it's more likely to happen to you than any normal person.
Gotcha.
I think that's what he's trying to say.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
If I go work in the oil field, I know there's a high likelihood that I'm going to get hurt in this way because this happens
Okay,
a lot.
so occupational
you take that
hazard,
into
that's
account.
the word, the phrase you're looking for.
Unfortunately, yes.
Unfortunately, yeah. I mean,
Well,
that's a
okay.
horrible term, and I don't like it, but it's very
So and
on
I'll
the
say this, I
point.
kind of agree with you, because when I've heard these
Yeah.
stories, I've thought to myself, if I
Right.
was a young woman and I was trying to get into Hollywood, whatever, if some guy told me to meet him at a hotel room for a meeting, I would bring a friend. I would bring a brother. I would never be alone in a room with somebody
Well,
in a professional capacity in a setting like that.
a perfect example, Marilyn Burns, star of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Do you know how she got that role? She was a waitress at the club in Austin where Toby Hooper and all the big wigs with the money hung out, just so she could get close to them to get that movie role. Scream 3, the whole plot of that movie with Maureen Prescott is about her, going and working in Hollywood, doing all of this. There are so many examples of this. It's not good. I don't like it. It needs to be exterminated
Right.
and dealt with. But know what you're getting into. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's all I'm saying.
No,
Problem
using sex in your job to get further in your career, that's a double-edged sword. And there are people who abuse
Yeah.
sex as a power
Right.
tool. I see the other side of your coin. I'm sorry if I was harsh on you before. I get it now.
No, you're fine. No, you're fine. I take no offense to it. This is a touchy subject, and this is the whole point of why Bill Cosby should not go on tour. Is these kind of questions are going to come
Okay,
up.
let's be honest.
You know
I think there'll be one show, and he's going to say a bunch of stupid shit, and he's going to have his handlers go, "This isn't going to work."
I'm going to go ahead and predict now. This will be worse than that time Kramer came out on stage and called somebody an N-word. It's going to be that level bad.
People will. The only way it will work, Tex, is if they take people's phones and have some type of
Oh yeah.
What's the signal disrupting thing at the venue, so people can't sneak a phone in and record it and stream it. It's gonna. I don't know.
Every woman's group in the country is going to protest this, and if they don't, they need to, because
if they throw paint on fur,
right.
they're going to do the same. They're going to do something with this. You're right.
Who are those people that super glued themselves to things?
Stupid
we need to call
people, the art
you mean
people,
the ones
art
that threw
fuckers.
the tomato soup on the fucking art? Yeah.
Oh.
Yes, we need to call them and be like, "Hey, here's what Cosby did. Go handle this." Finally, give those people something productive to do.
Here you go, and here's your blue hair dye. Now go ahead and get to it, kid.
I think someone should buy tickets in the front row for all of his accusers and just have him sit there and stare at him.
No. Buy the tickets and get cardboard cutouts of all his victims' faces and put them in the seats and make him look at them. But yeah, I think the real victims of this new thing are going to be the venues, because they're going to get blacklisted and nobody's going to use them, and they might go out of business if they take him in.
Well,
No.
Right.
isn't this kind of really when you said victims? I thought you were going to go what I thought of. I was like, is this kind of not only when he got out of prison, but this is also not only a middle finger to all the victims that came forward, and now it's like now you're just going to go out and parade on a tour. It's like, okay, well, that was all for nothing, wasn't it? I don't know.
Whoever talked Cosby into doing this knows exactly what's going to happen. They're doing this for one last big payout before he cashes out. That's all this is, plain and simple. And
Agreed.
They're hoping that this pads his reputation a little bit. Obviously, what he did is never going to go away, and it never needs to go away. It does not need to be forgotten about. But the damage is done. Just, Frank, like you said, go crawl into your hole, go apologize to your wife 1,000 times every day, and hope she doesn't smother you in your sleep. So,
and
she's one of the people that has stood by him most ardently and publicly too. So,
right,
you don't even have that much work on
and
that
his
end to
TV
do.
wife did, Felicia Rashad, wasn't it? She was vehement on social media that he was innocent. I was like, come on now.
right.
You're a woman.
And
You
just-
worked with him.
It's just like it also, I just realized who that was. That's my buddy, Big Bacon down there. He just said, and all these ladies had to. I was like, he said truck driver. I'm like, oh my god, I know who that is.
He was on here Monday night.
Yeah, he was. Monday night we kind of did like a spontaneous stream he showed up.
Nice. That's Patrick. I used to work with him way back. Actually, you remember Patrick, don't you, Frank?
We know Patrick. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a cool dude. He was fun to talk to. I like him. He was cool.
Like, me and Frank worked together once. Yeah, this is how this started. Right. In that very same lunchroom. But like you said, you got to relive all that trauma on the stand, and it would just really suck to see somebody that you sent these accusations towards just out doing whatever the hell he does best. He's gonna throw on another sweater, grab a pudding pop, and I don't know, try to have a stroke or a heart attack on stage. I don't know.
Did you hear about the Danny Masterson thing? His trial, it's a mistrial. They have to do it all over again. The victims have to go on the stand all over again for a new trial.
Yeah.
So it's crazy.
And how many of them won't come back just because they don't want to relive for the fifth time?
Well, one of them already backed off on the last trial. Right. She didn't want to testify. Now, however, him getting this mistrial, she may be inspired to actually go on the stand. There were 2 that went on the stand, and it was 3 in all who were, accusing him. Ultimately, the trial's about Scientology being put on trial for denying the girls the right to go to the police for years and hiding it. But anywho, you guys are right. I agree with you guys. And as a woman who's been a victim of sexual assault, I have to say I feel supported and respected by the 3 of you. So thank you, and people in the chat. So thank you.
I don't understand why this guy thinks it's a good idea, but whatever. I personally think that before he goes out for the first event on whatever tour he ends up going on, I'm willing to bet that everything is going to be very carefully crafted by him, the people around him that also want this to happen.
Like a teleprompter kind of setup?
Not just a teleprompter. They're going to say, you're going to go out there at this time. Security is going to be mad. Yeah. They're going to pay for a bunch of people, a bunch of big guys to stand around him like that.
That was the first thing on my mind.
They're going to plan all that shit to make sure that nobody gets anywhere near him that could possibly ask him a question that he doesn't want to answer.
They're going to put him a blast shield around the whole stage so you can't throw shit at him.
No. You're going to pay for a ticket to sit in the theater to see a screen of him on a Zoom call at another location.
That's entirely possible.
Coming from an undisclosed location, it looks like he's in some kind of Area 51 style place.
He's in Vince McMahon's office or something, like make it a wrestling gimmick.
Hey, people like the gorillas. They don't actually exist, and neither does that one anime hologram chick who's a singer or whatever. I don't. That one. There's a singer band, whatever. It's just a hologram of like this anime girl. She's got real long blue hair. I know her name, but it's like that. She doesn't actually exist, but that's the concert. You know what I mean? So. Like I said, the gorillas don't actually exist either. They're just those cartoon guys.
Or they could find a Bill Cosby look-alike that he looked like in the 80s and put him in an ugly sweater and have him just like recite shit that they want Bill to say. Like the Bill Cosby experience, time travel back to when he was like relevant. I don't know.
Sounds like a good SNL skit to me.
Yeah.
Somebody didn't Keenan do that? Didn't Keenan do like Cosby in some of the skits?
I think so, yeah.
Somebody get Keenan out there.
When they were making fun of the pudding pops and Fat Albert and stuff like that.
And the sweaters.
Yes.
This is so problematic. I couldn't imagine being like a publicist for this or like a producer.
No.
You know that. And I mean, in the book of bad ideas, this is like chapter 4. Like, why are you doing this?
To give money
trade deal and it's your trade deals
to get it going, expecting your money to come back to you. We got a great investment. Sponsor this tour and you'll get 10% of blah blah blah.
Well,
this is a really bad idea.
Producers and publicists are going to get paid either way.
You think so?
Because he's gonna put together some money for this thing. The publicist is gonna say, okay, I want $50,000 to run publicity for your tour, and whether this tour dies after the first stop or not, they're gonna get their money. So they get paid either way. I don't know. I think this is a bad idea. But Casey did chime in and say, thanks for the $5, Casey. We appreciate it. We learned a little something about Casey in this donation. Let me pull up real quick.
Did we?
Oh boy! I told him I canceled it because he's being silly. I told him he's paying off towards his debt to you. The $195 now left for that shit from the football fantasy league thing.
Well, I don't know why it's not bringing up. Oh, wow, I gotta refresh this page again. That's weird.
Casey's having trouble bringing it up.
Well,
Casey couldn't get it up for a while, from what I hear. But yeah,
Oh,
Woo! Got him.
Got you, Casey.
see, this is when you say bad touch, Casey.
Yeah.
Now that it finally pulls out, he says, "Go to Bill Cosby stand-up. It's a good deal. Pay for the entry fee and get molested for free." so now we know that Casey's going to be paying for
drinks around the house.
Casey,
yeah.
I know what kind of porn you like.
Jeremy.
But that's beside the point.
Hey. Cosby's buying the first round. Whoa, no shit. This guy wasn't so bad. Come on, guys.
Do I really want Cosby?
Now, I mean, since Casey has been brought up, Casey, what's the life expectancy on Bill Cosby? Like, obviously, I can't see the chat, but just drop it in and I'll look at it later. Like,
Casey,
how
you tell us
long
when he's going to die. Because you kill people.
We're doing our top 5 live, and this fucker dies, and we're like, well, that was
it. Hey, if he does.
Newsflash, Bill Cosby tour canceled. Casey's Raw predicted his death. He died an hour later.
Yeah. I like it. I dig it.
Casey, I'll forgive everything and take back everything I ever said if you kill this guy.
Yes,
just do it that
same here. Let's do
I'm
it.
Sorry.
You guys are going to get me kicked off YouTube. Be careful of that shit.
Well, think of who we're talking.
Well, then let's move away from Bill Cosby then, so we don't get franked off.
We got to move on to the next topic anyway. I wasn't sure this one was going to spur this much debate, but damn, that was something.
It's a touchy subject.
But yeah, go down in the comments.
Oh, Jeremy! Jeremy!
I didn't actually mean. Oh my God, bad touch, Cora. That was her.
Good God.
No, it wasn't. You said it.
Go down in the comments below and let us know what you guys think. Bill Cosby may be going back on a comedy tour. Would you go buy tickets? Let us know in the comments below. Lady Cora, what's the next topic we'll be going into?
First of all, I have to say hi to Alan in the chat.
Hey.
What's up, Alan?
Okay. The legacy of Marvel's legendary comic creator Stan Lee is unprecedented, and it seems that Marvel Studios will take it up a notch by showcasing a brand new tribute to him on Disney+. Although Lee died in November of 2018, it still hasn't stopped comic book fans the world over from celebrating the life of the Marvel legend. The documentary, simply titled Stan Lee, will premiere on the streaming service sometime in 2023. Jeremy, are you anticipating are you looking forward to the look back at the life of Stan Lee?
I am always ready to do that. You don't gotta say anything else to me. Just that, you can take my money. For sure. I'm sure. Wow, thanks. Amazon decided to switch up their entire layout on me. Wow, thanks. I got lost there for a second, Bezos. So I'm sure I showed this to you guys, but it's, again, so as soon as I saw this on Amazon, I couldn't pass it up. I couldn't let it go. Those big pops that have like the background, it's usually like a comic book, and it's like the little character in the bottom where it's say like a band.
Mm-hmm.
They have one coming soon of Stan Lee with him on a comic book background. It's kind of blurry, but like, you see what I'm saying.
Will that have a special place on one of your shelves?
That'll definitely have to be more centered somewhere. Yeah, that's
nice.
That's a cool one.
I like the colors in it too, by the way.
Yeah, it's like that golden era or maybe even silver age of comic books. I'm excited. It'd be really interesting to kind of see this whole thing about, the man, the myth, the legend. I mean, it's like, you think you know him, but I mean, I couldn't say like I never sat down and talked with him, but it'd be really cool to see. And that's what I was going to end with, just like Big Bacon said, Excelsior.
Excelsior. Yeah, I'm for one, there's even before he passed away, there was about 200 different kinds of documentaries or short films or episodes of one show or another talking about the life of Stan Lee, but it can never really be enough. I mean, the guy, I mean, for those of you who've done any reading on kind of his life and his background in creating in comics and the character creation and all that, there's a lot there to try to break down. There's a lot there to go into. There's a lot there that can be talked about. I'm actually kind of, and Tex is back now, I'm actually kind of surprised that they're doing a documentary and not just a straight biopic. I mean, Disney's got the money to do this. It wouldn't cost a whole lot of money.
It doesn't mean they're not going to do it in addition to that eventually.
True. And I know a lot of this was probably just done because his was it a day or two ago, Jeremy? I think it was
his
yesterday
100th birthday.
Yesterday was his 100th birthday.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, why not? I mean, why not just this documentary, the timing makes sense, but I mean, really, the guy's life was so interesting. I mean, all the stuff he did during World War II, him moving around in what was a burgeoning comic book industry for so many years, and then being a part of creating all this great stuff. I mean, there's plenty of there to talk about, and I've seen, like I said, I've seen a lot of individual episodes, little snippets of what he did here, what he did there. But it's gonna be really good to see finally one documentary of an hour and a half or 2 hours long, where we're gonna be able to break down the beginning of his life all the way to the end and all the miraculous things that happened in the middle. I think it's gonna be great to do that. I hope to talk to a lot of people who were close to Stan Lee, guys like Kevin Smith, people in his family, other creators that he helped put all this stuff together with. Finally, kind of, getting that into one documentary and hearing all the great things that people have to say about him.
Do you think they would use this as a field test to see if they should spend the money on a big biopic?
Well, I mean, how much money do you really need to spend? I mean, it's not like it's going to be CGI heavy. I mean, you're going to have a lot of like on sets. I mean, so he's going to be on set in a couple of scenes. That doesn't cost a lot of CGI. That's all practical. I mean, you already own the rights to most of the shit that you would want to use in that movie anyway. So, true. I mean, it's really just about finding the right actors. You could probably make a good Stan Lee biopic for $25 million. You can't tell me that wouldn't make a bunch of money.
They spent more on She-Hulk.
Yeah, it's way more on She-Hulk.
See how that turned out. It looked amazing.
Yeah, but look, it wouldn't be hard to do. I mean, the hard part would be casting the right actor. Maybe even casting a couple of different actors to portray him at different points in his life. Find a young Stan Lee and like a middle-aged Stan Lee, and then maybe somebody like maybe not Clint Eastwood, somebody like a Clint Eastwood type, somebody who's in his 80s to play the older version of Stan towards the end. And I mean, look, because good and bad, there's a lot about him that's really interesting. I mean, the good stuff, the creative stuff, obviously, but don't forget there was this whole thing about the guy who was basically using him for his money towards the end. He was like a caregiver. He had he had like power of attorneys and everything like that, trying to help him pay his bills and stuff, was stealing money from him. There was all these allegations of elder abuse. This guy ended up actually being charged for all this stuff, and somebody else was in charge of all of Stan Lee's affairs for the last couple of years of his life. So, I mean, there's lots of stories around him to tell that are interesting. But I don't know. Tex, what do you think? Big documentary being planned finally for Disney Plus about Stan Lee. What do you think we're going to get out of it?
Well, I think any comic book fan, whether you're DC or Marvel, you have to respect Stan Lee for what he did, because I mean, yes, obviously the characters that he created, but think about all the ones that he inspired with the characters that he created on the other side of the fence, or over here, or over there. He became an arguably as big or bigger of an icon for who he is than what he created. So yes, if this is a biography that I would love to see. I'm actually interested to see this. I mean, the man deserves it. If it wasn't for him, Disney wouldn't be making money right now for a huge chunk of it anyways, because they're using his and Jack Kirby's creations. So, I would prefer a movie, and I think that's probably still in the works. And I'm going to go ahead and put this out there. If they do make a movie, it's going to be called Excelsior. So if they do that, Disney, you owe me some money. I'm just putting that out into the ether, by the way.
What we need to do is we need to go ahead and we need to register those domain names right now.
Right. Yeah. Excelsior.com and ExcelsiorTheMovie.com.
And don't forget the social media accounts. You could get a lot of money to Instagram and Twitter.
Go ahead and cover all of our bases here, because I do think he deserves a film. Well, I know he deserves a movie.
We're going to Spaceballs the shit out of this.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
Excelsior, the coloring book. Excelsior, the flamethrower.
Excelsior, the flamethrower.
One thing that I would be interested to see in this documentary or in a film is, I don't know a lot about it, but apparently there was allegations that he stole a lot of stuff from Jack Kirby and kind of claimed it as his own back in the past at some point. So something like that would be worth looking into as well, obviously, but this is going to be a puff piece worshiping him basically. But like I said, the man contributed. All the cameos he's done, the characters he's created. I mean, he was in Mallrats. I mean, that might be my favorite role that he ever did was in Mallrats. Asking about the thing's junk. I mean, come on now. He was a good sport. You know what I mean? So, I'll be watching it. I think it'll be cool.
Yeah,
So,
Cora is kind of the comic book outsider, as someone who really didn't get into this stuff too much until you joined this channel. What are some of your thoughts on the upcoming documentary about Stan?
Well, I'll say this. It'll be nice to see something about Stanley because all this new Marvel content, I miss the fucking cameos. I miss watching it to find him somewhere for a moment. I think I knew of him and I knew of comic books growing up because, I had friends who read them and such. But, I mean, I didn't really understand how big he was and how talented he was until the comic books really hit Hollywood by storm, and I've been impressed with him. And my favorite cameo of his was in the original Spider-Man with Toby Keith and Toby Maguire. Crossing my
Toby Keith.
wires.
I missed that.
Should have been a Spider-Man. I can tell you right now. The song would be tremendous.
Wait.
Yes.
That's why the second movie, when he's falling down, losing his powers, I ain't as good as I once was. And I don't even listen to country music.
Oh my god, that was perfect timing. So
After hang on, I've got one more. Hang on, I've got one more. As he's fighting Green Goblin or Venom, he beats him. He walks off singing, "How do you like me now?" That like these puns write themselves. This would be tremendous.
Remember that shit that happened with the stupid Dixie Chicks? He would just go, "F you, Green Goblin."
Right? Yeah, that'd be great.
See a chump.
Toby Keith. Holy crap! Now I need Toby Keith Spider-Man. Why did you put that in my brain? I need that now.
God damn.
The point is, I would love to learn more about him and his background and his creative drive. So I'm very interested in it myself. So.
I mean, that is one of my favorite. I mean, I know people quote it. It's one of my favorite lines from his cameos in the third Spider-Man, I believe it is, when he walks up to him and says, I know it only takes one person to make a difference. Enough said. He walks away.
Yep.
There you go.
I still think they should do Stanley cameos, like put a photo of him on someone's desk.
They do.
Or
he's
TV
always in there
screen.
somewhere.
In Venom,
he do that.
In Venom, he was actually on a magazine cover in the store, the first Venom movie.
Oh.
I was going to say, remember WandaVision, the border on her license plate said Excelsior.
Yeah. So they've
wow.
In every Marvel property since then, they've had some kind of a small little detail that was put there in memory of Stan Lee.
I keep saying they need to have Deadpool just wear a Stan Lee mask every once in a while and just be like, here I am.
I don't have the article in front of me, but I think Disney
that would actually be perfect if he did that.
Yeah, I think Disney also signed a deal with his estate for likeness rights for the next, I think, 15 or 20 years.
Nice.
Oh, cool.
So they're and they own Marvel, of course. So obviously they're planning on keeping his memory alive for some time. In the MCU, because the MCU is not going anywhere anytime soon. Whether you think it's doing good or bad, it's not going anywhere anytime soon. So there's always going to be a Disney thing out there.
Obviously, Disney has done the Princess Leia after death thing. They've CGI inserted other characters. Stan Lee is one of them I would be perfectly okay with if they digitally inserted some footage from the past in the film somewhere, just as an homage. I think that would be kind of cool.
I like it.
Yeah. The way they put like Bill Bixby in the Incredible Hulk movie, like that seems to me like okay. Put a little interview with him from like the 70s playing in the background is one thing. As far as doing anything digital is concerned, that's where you run into a lot of weird like ethical conundrums, because that's one of the things that's going on in Hollywood right now is there was a movie that I don't think it ever really got past the planning stages. There was a movie that somebody had actually gotten the rights from James Dean's estate to film a brand new movie that was going to be starring James Dean, and they were going to use some digital trick. I think we even talked about this. They were going to use some digital trickery to put James Dean in the movie. They were going to have like a stand-in and like a green face mask or something, and they were going to do computer stuff to put James Dean face on it, show him speaking the dialogue and all that, and it was going to be a new movie starring James Dean. But a lot of people looked at that and they were kind of like, that That's a little odd. For one,
remember
they
the
don't
Anthony
know.
Bourdain documentary debauchery? These people literally made a documentary about the guy who killed himself, and then instead of just pulling footage, which he was on television a lot, so there was lots of choices, they used CG voice programs
they
to
deepfaked
make
it.
him say stuff that he never said and put it in this documentary.
Well, that's a bit different. That's going out of your way to change the person. That's a bit different. Whereas, I mean, because this movie, as far as James Dean is concerned, they weren't going to try to. I mean, they were just making a new fictional movie, like something they think he would have made if he was still alive. They weren't trying to make video of him saying, he doesn't like some certain ethnicity of people to make him like a racist. It wasn't some deep fake shit. It was they were going to do it specifically for him playing the role in the movie. So, but I mean, still, it's a weird ethical conundrum. I don't want them doing any computer trickery to put Stanley in there for a cameo. I mean, I don't think he would have minded much, especially if it's like what Jeremy said, like that scene in Spider-Man where he goes, sometimes one guy can make a difference. Something like that wouldn't terribly be bad, but at the same time, you're still kind of crossing a line, and that's a bit odd. So
didn't I think we talked about this because it blew me away because I didn't know if this was like unused footage or it's maybe a combination of the two, and then like a body double and makeup and technical wizardry. But it's like, what they did for Rogue One was that was actual just old footage they didn't use from the original Star Wars to put them in that era. Because I'm like, well, those pilots are from that time. Yes, that was a clever way to do that. Because I'm like, well, that's already been filmed. That's one thing. But where I'm going with is the from the Halloween movie. I thought that was straight up Donald Pleasance for real. I thought that was Dr. Loomis.
That was. Well, yeah, whoever that guy was could like walk around as him on Hollywood Boulevard as Dr. Loomis.
That's what I mean. I was like, is this like footage they use, or is this like? Because that blew me away. I was like, oh my god, that is him. That is. He was a little
bit heavier. I mean, if he lost like 30 pounds, they could be twins. That's the only difference. That's the only way you could tell the difference.
Are they related?
No, this was just. No, they were not related. This was not one of his children. No.
Wow.
But something like that, you could maybe do something like that to make it work. Or
we all have a doppelganger, somebody that looks like us. We're not related to. I mean, I was in this aquarium in Seattle years ago, and I'm walking around. All of a sudden, I see this woman, and we lock eyes, and we literally almost look identical, except for our nose shape. Whoa. I was like looking in the mirror. It was the weirdest thing. We took our picture together and we walked away because it was so weird.
So the opening to the multiverse is at an aquarium in Seattle. That's where we need to go.
Hey, the TVA didn't show up, so I think Cora's in the clear.
I will say this: I can't find the picture, so somebody's.
I'm looking for a picture of something. I'm gonna freak you guys out. Speaking of that, like doppelganger thing, because it's. I know I have it somewhere, but by the time I find it, I mean, I could probably Google search it. Even if there it is. She and I had the same hair color, same eyes, same skin tone, same cheek, and our bodies were the same shape. It was strange. Okay. Yeah, I know. Stranger things are about to happen right now. Okay. So you guys have seen.
Cue the theme music.
Right. So you guys, you've seen my face before. Now, tell me that. Right?
You with a bowl cut.
It's like hilarious. A super old.
Is that a famous painting?
I don't know about famous, but like, can I get this to focus? Hold on.
Who's the guy that played Kylo Ren?
Oh, Adam Driver.
That's who that looks like.
I've been told I look like Adam Driver, so I
think I've heard you say that.
I can say that. Yeah, I can. I mean,
you can't tell me whoever this. It's only called Portrait of a Young Man. I literally as vague as you could be. I don't know who this person is. I think there's the artist name, but I'm like, that's freaky. Either I'm a time traveler or something. And a lot of people,
even your cheekbone and your jawline are identical.
I showed this to my mom.
The symmetry of your face.
I showed this to my mom, and she freaked out. Like,
do you know what that looks like? It looks like you took your photo and put it in one of those apps that makes it look like art.
Yeah, I thought about like trying to redo this picture and make it a profile picture or something. just sit there like this or whatever. And But yeah, so and I hear that a lot, that everyone's like, oh, I think I've seen you before. Right? Have you live here? No, I don't. I don't know who the hell you are. Like, so either there's a lot of me running around, or there's some cloning or some time travel crap going on. So I don't know. They better be saying good things about me. So he's got one of those faces, I guess, because
there you go.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm back to the original point anyway. I'm excited to see this. I'm excited to see this documentary about Stan Lee. I mean, it's about time that now that he's been gone for a couple of years, it's about time that they put together this one big documentary outlining all of his accomplishments from start to finish. So I think it's gonna be pretty fun to see.
I'd be willing to bet that they could actually put that in a theater and people would pay to go see it.
oh, for sure, I'd be there.
Yeah, I'd pay.
I mean, maybe not like a wide theatrical release, but like one of those, what are they called? Fathom events or something that they have at theaters or whatever.
Oh,
They could do
I've been to
something
one
like
of
that
those.
and then put it on Disney Plus. I mean, because we know Disney's, money, that's their main, thing. Do something like that. Make it big. Make it an event. Do something like that. That'd be cool.
Yeah, could be. But go down in the comments below. Let us know what you guys think. Are you interested in seeing Disney Plus's upcoming documentary about the life and times of Stan Lee? I think it's actually pretty cool. So I'm looking forward to seeing it. Like I said, there's not a million of them out there, but you can never have too many people talking about Stan Lee. The guy was a gifted, talented creator, and he gave us the MCU. He gave us Marvel. He gave us so many great characters. So many great characters that we still have yet to see in the MCU. Some of them we've never seen on screen before. They've never made it out of the pages of the comic book. So
Are there any characters he created that never made it into the comic books? They're just sitting like in a folder?
Probably.
Do you think?
How would we know? I mean, I'm sure there are, but how would we know?
Like, do you think if someone would go through his papers at some point and go, "Oh my God,
I'm sure there's ideas or concepts that he came up with that just weren't profitable and never went anywhere. I'm sure.
Well, it's like that thing that when he
the
talks
lost
about
characters or something.
When he talks about when he made Spider-Man, like his publisher didn't think that was gonna be a good idea.
Right.
And he said, "Screw it, we're gonna put it in this one little comic book called Amazing Fantasy," and then came back, and then his publisher was like, "Oh my God, that's the greatest idea you've ever had." When he just poo-pooed the idea like a month ago,
But I imagine we'll get to learn all that in that documentary. We'll be seeing sooner than later. So
yeah, But let us know what you guys think about the upcoming documentary. Lady Cora, what's our main topic we're going to be going into tonight?
Well, we haven't done this in a long time. Tex hasn't been here for one, but these are my favorite episodes.
Welcome to the show, son.
Yes, you are now officially branded. Like, this is it.
I was already branded. I wasn't
going
to brand them on.
He's from Texas. Watch out.
This is the time we look back on some of our favorite films, and of course, what films we thought were disappointing or what I fucking hate. Those are my words, not Frank's. Films like Top Gun, Maverick, and The Batman were expected to do well, but many of the critical and financial successes in Hollywood caught several insiders by surprise. Meanwhile, several films were expected to dazzle audiences, but fizzled at the box office while failing to strike a chord with moviegoers. With that, we now give you our top 5 films of the year, starting with Tex. Tex, what is one of your films that resonated with you this year?
Well, my number 5 top film is one. I don't know if y'all have ever seen or not, but it was pretty big in the horror world. It's called The Long Night, and it stars Scout Taylor Compton. She was in Rob Zombie's Halloween as Laurie Strode and a bunch of other horror roles. It was directed by Rich Ragdale, and it's basically I don't want to say too much without spoiling, but basically a girl was adopted young, and she's moving back home to the South from New York to this big southern plantation, and it's like one of those cultish type films where there's like a apocalyptic type theme to it with a curse and whatever. And this was like a more independent, smaller film, but a very well done movie. It was released through places like Shudder and Screambox, and it just really hit, and it hit pretty good. The wasn't big budget, but as we've said on here multiple times, when you're doing horror films, they don't have to be $100 million films to be made good or anything else. This is one of those movies. There's only like 3 or 4 people in the whole movie. It was filmed during the COVID lockdown times, and just a very well done project, very well executed, well acted. The visuals are great. The cinematography looks good, beautiful landscapes. The writing is good. It's smart. Like I said, if you haven't seen The Long Night, I would recommend it. It's, I've got 5 good ones and 5 bad ones here. I didn't just go for 5 blockbusters that made money, because that's not the defining aspect of a movie for me. If it can make $500 trillion, that doesn't mean it's good. I wanted quality films. So go check out The Long Night. It's a good one. I recommend it highly.
Lady Cora, how about you? What's one of the films that really got to you this year?
Well, going backwards, I would say Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness is my 5th of the top 5. Of the 3 major Marvel movies released in 2022, this was my fave, and I'm a big fan of Wanda and Vision, and I was eager to see this just because of her part in the plot. It makes my top 5 for being the best Marvel product of 2022 in my book. Outside, I didn't really watch much of this TV show. So anyways, that I actually wanted to watch. So I still want to know where Vision and Nick Fury are, but, I guess I have to wait for 2023 or 2024 for that. But for this year, Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness was my number 5.
Jeremy, how about you? What's one of the movies that stood out to you this year and really grabbed you, really entertained you?
Well, I'm glad you got all that build up for us to start backwards with our number 5 picks. I'm like, well, one that kind of grabbed me in its chainsaw teeth. That should give it away. That was the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That one squeaked into my top 5 because I kind of had to. Because as I'm sure, if one day someone puts together a compilation of me saying how many times that's my favorite horror movie, not this one in particular, but you know what I mean. Kind of, been in competition with Halloween for the most fucked up continuity, but hey, I think we're back on top with this one. It's at number 5 because look, I had to at least get. I think I have 2 actually. Yeah, 2 horror movies in my top 5, but that was at least one of them. And again, my favorite series, no matter how messed up it gets, messed up in the story and just logic, or messed up like a bunch of people on a bus. Because I think that was the defining moment for it. Holy crap, those people getting killed on the bus was, I think, quite literally, that was the fever pitch of the movie. And really, because that's all I can really say from a 40-year sequel that I think it's a sequel, sure, that tries to bring back its title character, even though Marilyn Burns has since passed away. I don't care that you put your character back in, but with as close as it was to the release of Halloween, it's the same damn story. She's Laurie Strode. She's been in his grudge, bloodlust for the last 40 years, trying to kill this guy that terrorized her and her friends. And then and then you just kill her. I'm like, well, okay, that was okay. And of course, the only guy that I was like, oh, he's a dickhead. He's of course the walking stereotype, yeehaw Texan guy. I'm like, oh, maybe he's not so bad. He's gonna die, and he died. Of course, he died. Broke my heart. The one character I thought was actually kind of enjoying watching on the screen, other than Leatherface doing what he does, being 60-some years old. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not ready to talk about that one yet. So
I hopefully that gives. It's a slasher movie, and I don't know if, again, at this point, if it's on purpose or not, but I'm like, I hate every one of the main characters. You're insufferable. I hate seeing your faces. I want to punch every one of you or cut your head off with a chainsaw, which may or may not have happened a few times in this movie. I don't know if you've never seen a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie ever. I don't know. Maybe not start with this one. Maybe at least watch the first one and then try to watch this. And I envy your position of not having seen them at all. And maybe I'd like to know that person's opinion. But for some,
I haven't seen any of them.
Okay,
I could watch it.
Don't watch.
There's been about 3 direct sequels to this damn original movie.
So it's not like Halloween Ends where the last one is the best one.
Oh, I'm gonna kill myself.
See,
Oh.
when I separated out my 5, trust me, that was number
I'm
9
gonna-
was Halloween Ends. So
I'll make sure to turn my camera off before I do what I do, Frank, so I don't get you took
Yeah.
off of YouTube.
gonna mute yourself too.
Oh, yeah, I'll mute myself too.
Well,
That was 5.
my number. I really tried. I saw this movie fairly recently, and I really tried to find some reason to keep it off my list, but I couldn't. And that's Avatar: The Way of Water. As much as I've criticized.
All right, well, let's had a good show. Good night.
My feelings in the first movie have not changed at all. They never have. But I going into this movie, I thought to myself, this is going to be another just giant statement by James Cameron. It's going to kind of ruin all the things that could be great about this. And very early on in the movie, he made it clear that it wasn't just a pro-environment thing. This was very much a war movie. I mean, because you don't really have to go into a whole lot of setup, because if you've seen the first movie, which I would imagine a lot of people that went to see this movie have, you already know the characters, you know the setting, you know what the score is, you know the ending. You can just get right into what's going on, and that's exactly what it was. You get there, you spend the first few minutes, you see that Jake is settled in with the Na'vi and whatever, and then shit pops off, and then it gets right into it. And there are a lot of shots that were reminiscent of other classic war movies. I mean, there was one that was straight out of Apocalypse Now. The whole him coming out of the water like really slow and just like surveying the scene. It's like that shot was straight out of Apocalypse Now.
Or Halle Berry and James Bond with the orange bikini.
There was not a lot of bikinis necessarily in this movie, but now does the movie have
no bikinis? Nope.
Does the movie have some holes? Yeah, it's got a couple that stood out.
So does Halle Berry.
But ultimately,
he was trying not to get bad touch.
But
Sorry,
ultimately,
I couldn't help myself.
This movie was so much more watchable than the first one to me. It's like I've never felt compelled to go back and watch the first Avatar for anything. I bought it on DVD when it came out, largely because I thought I was supposed to, just because I'm a movie fan. I ended up giving it to my son. I was like, I just don't want to watch this anymore. And I haven't gone back to buy. I don't think I've watched it in probably 8 or 9 years. But going into this movie, I left really satisfied. I left satisfied with what I saw.
So as someone who's never wanted to watch any of it because I thought it was too, stupid, or everybody just watched it for the sake of watching it, you would recommend me watching this?
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I would say watch the first one for context about the characters and where they're at. But, I mean, I don't think you necessarily need to know too much about the first. I mean, there's some things you're not going to get. Like, I mean, obviously, the one guy coming back, you're not going to understand. The connection between their daughter and Sigourney Weaver's character, you maybe don't quite understand unless you've seen the first movie. So there's some contextual things you would need to get from the first film. But for the most part, if you go into this movie completely green, you're gonna kind of understand what it is. I mean, because lots of other sci-fi type movies have kind of looked like this, or like alien race is living just fine until another race rolls in and starts causing shit. That's kind of the basis of the whole thing, and that's kind of what it focused on, was just the conflict between the two, and not this big environmental speech that Cameron likes to give. But yeah, dude, for the last couple of days, I've been thinking. I was like, is there any other movie that I could put up there that makes sense? And I couldn't. I mean, now granted, I haven't got a chance to watch a lot of the movies that I wanted to watch over the course of the year. I've been trying to catch up the last couple of days, but I mean, for the most part, I can't find any reason not to put this in my top 5 for the year. But anyway, that's Avatar: The Way of Water is my number 5. Tex, what's the next movie you want to talk about?
Well, obviously, there's a theme with mine, and it's all horror. So,
are we surprised? No.
Well, I felt, stick to the brand, stick to what got me here, whatever. But this was a exclusive to Shudder. It's how it was released. And it actually came out this month, and it's Christmas, Bloody Christmas. And this was directed by Joe Begos. And this is like if Rob Zombie made a Terminator Christmas movie, this is what you've got. It's the simple plot is the American government stops using humans in war and they develop cyborgs. Well, the cyborgs, basically, they turn out they're not so good at soldiers, so they turn them into mall Santas. Great idea, right? Well, one of those happens to go bad and starts slashing everybody. And this film is just a lot of fun. This is a turn your brain off, sit back and enjoy. It's bright, it's colorful, it's got the Christmas in it.
Would you let your girls watch it?
They've already seen it. They watched it
Did
with
they
me.
like it?
Oh, they loved it. It's a blast. It's a 90-minute just fun fest is what this movie was. It was pure enjoyment. I'm not somebody who really enjoys Christmas movies. I've watched this thing 3 times since Christmas. I love this film.
Wow.
So is it a horror movie or is it a Christmas movie?
It's both. Sounds like.
Both. Yeah. I mean, literally, it's a
Frank's up there smiling because he knows damn well what I was alluding to.
Everything's
Die
a Christmas
Hard.
movie. If
No,
you
it's
watch it at
not.
Christmas, everything's a Christmas movie.
Well,
Yeah.
okay. It's a. I mean, they've even got Herman Munster in this movie, Jeff Daniel Phillips as the sheriff in this film. This is what I'm saying. I don't know Joe Bigos, but I guarantee you he's a Rob Zombie fan because this film, if you've ever seen Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, the way he did Scout Taylor Compton's Laurie Strode in that film, this is this film, or this is this film's version of Riley. Let's see, her name was Riley Dandy. She plays the final girl in this film. She is just like Scout Taylor Compton in Halloween Rob Zombie films. This is a quality, fun film. It's low budget, but it doesn't look like it. It's got great practical effects, good kills, nice gore, and it's just something you don't have to take too seriously. And for so many movies these days, that's the biggest hang up for me is you have to be so serious going into it. You know what I mean? So this film really left an impression on me this year. And I mean, this thing knocked off Rob Zombie's Monsters off of the top 5, if it tells you how much I like this film. So, that says something.
Hell yeah.
Jeremy, how about you? What's the next film you want to talk about?
Skip right over Cora.
Okay.
I'm just kind of going in how the view is on my thing.
Oh, there you go.
Since the last time I did it. Anyway,
Don't
Jeremy, go
mind.
ahead. Cora will be next.
I was totally prepared. So going back up the list now. We're gonna get better and better. Kind of.
Hell yeah.
Maybe. Well, I guess a little better. Number 4, I put Jurassic World Dominion. So I hope Rudy Gamer covered his ears. He's not listening. No, I'm kidding. Wow, I'm cutting my head off. Wow. So I mean, I don't mean it in just I'm like, shrug. Yeah, it's Jurassic World. Yeah, it's Star Wars. It's another Star Wars movie. Yeah, it's another Jurassic. But this was kind of supposed to be the final end all be all, even though there's shows and other video games and other media and whatnot. So I mean, I'm not mad about another Jurassic Park / Jurassic World movie. Continuing this second trilogy. And also kind of being a legacy movie where, you finally have the 3 original cast members who I am so glad all decided to come back and all aged like a fine fucking wine, especially Jeff Goldblum. I should hold on. Maybe I should do the thing. I should sit like this when I do this review.
You also got to undo your shirt.
I am not ripping up this Hellfire Club shirt. Just for that, no. Or I should just wear the vest.
We got to get that manly chest. Get it oil up a little bit.
Oh no!
This podcast is going in a direction I'm not comfortable with, y'all. I'm not.
Yeah, you would be fine with it if they asked you to oil up and rip your shirt off like a MAGA hole. Paint yourself red. Wear the MAGA hat. Put Hex 2024 across your chest in body paint. Yeah.
Jesus
Clip
Christ.
that, please. I want that one too.
Casey, get on it. But anyway, I mean, I'm not mad about more dinosaurs and whatnot, especially. I guess kind of my big thing was at the end of the previous movie was now we have dinosaurs out in the real world. Like, oh crap, this basically what happened at the end of Lost World, but more dinosaurs and they're everywhere, not just a contained incident in one city. So it was kind of fun, and it's just like me when I play a video game like Fallout or The Division. Some big cataclysmic event happens, and it's like, well, how do humans deal with this kind of thing? Like Tex knows about post-apocalyptic stuff. It's funny how humans adapt to things, and of course, there's some. It looked like it was something out of Star Wars. Like there's some underground market of black market of dinosaurs and creatures and crap. Because of course that would happen. Humans are pretty predictable. We're stubborn and predictable. But at
now
the end
the
of
one scene. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just saying, at the end of the movie, though, we still kind of were in the same boat we're in. I'm kind of like,
Right.
nothing really happened. I'm like, we still kind of in a weird roundabout way had some jungle environment. And there's dinosaurs. It's not the island. You know, we know that. And it's like it tried to be the island without being on an island. It's in this weird sanctuary run by Dotson. We got Dotson in here.
Dotson, where's Dotson?
I think somebody
Get
reviewed
Dotson over here.
Somebody reviewed that and they're like, "We got Dotson," and he's like, "Nobody cares." Like, yeah.
The one scene I wish they had left in though was the drive-in scene where the T-Rex shows up. That was in the trailers.
Yeah.
You remember that?
That was the version that this person used for the review. They used all the extra stuff that was in it that added.
Okay,
more.
yeah.
I was like,
I was
glad
really
they
looking
did.
forward to that one scene. That's the one thing I wanted out of the film. I did it. I like the film. I'm a fan of the Jurassic Park movies, but I wanted that one scene. That's what I really wanted.
Okay,
It's the
this
year
is
of our
a
Lord
moment.
2022.
I'm going to
where I'm
apologize now, Frank. You can be mad at me, but I just
Uh-oh.
learned this last week that Christmas Vacation Lampoons, you know, where he does the house with all the lights, Chevy Chase. There was a deleted scene that they did not put in the theatrical version where they're going to the Christmas tree farm talking to this redneck in a chair. Oh my God, Frank. Fuck you. I see
No, keep talking. Keep talking.
Why do you think I made this graphic?
Oh my God. Anyways, so there's this scene evidently, and there were a couple pictures taken of it, so people kind of knew it existed, but nobody ever saw the scene. Well, I didn't know this. You probably do. But cable companies, when they get movies for TV, they get the extra scene sometimes if they need to edit in and make the movie longer for the time window that the movie's going to be in. So there are a handful of people out there in this world in the 80s and 90s who saw this deleted scene that was never in the theatrical version. And this one guy on YouTube not only got the pictures, but he got the original script and read it all out. And there's actually even more deleted scenes from that movie with the grandparents when they're coming in the house with a cat in the box and stuff. Anyways, I had no idea that this was a thing, that cable TV channels can add deleted scenes that were never in the theatrical version for their edits on TV. It blew my mind.
Yeah, that's been a thing for as far back as I can remember. There's always a couple of scenes that get cut into.
Thanks for the graphic. This squirrel moment brought to you by Lady Cora. Fucking beautiful.
I was actually just telling Jennifer the other day that my ex-wife had never seen an unedited version of Grease. The copy that she had on VHS when she was a kid, her family had recorded off of TBS. So there was. I don't know if you've ever listened to some of the dialogue and some of the lyrics of the songs, but like in Grease Lightning, he says, "I ain't just bragging. She's a real pussy wagon." It's like she had never heard that. And
they say that in that movie.
Yes.
Really?
I don't doubt it.
He says, "You know it ain't no shit. Women give lots of tit." He's like, "If you ever seriously stop."
Maybe I was wrong about Grease.
Stop and listen to the dialogue in that movie. I mean, it's pretty racy. It's pretty racy stuff. But I'm
about to go back and watch it.
Yeah, but there's lots of stuff that gets cut in and out of films for between the theatrical and the television stuff. What was the one movie I was watching not too long ago? I wasn't watching it on TV, but it occurred to me. I remember watching it years ago. There was some different edits that were made. But yeah, it's not unusual. It's been a thing for a long time.
Well, I thought it was just one of those things where it's like, here's the trailer, but we're not going to put any of that in the movie. None of this actually happened. I'm like, well, now, did it or did it not? I don't know. Apparently it did. And when they went through it, and that's their, they go along with the timeline of the movie. And I'm like, oh, seeing that, that's kind of your big, whoa, that's your opening moment. And especially with Rexy, I mean, you got to give it to the OG. Why wouldn't you? But that was number 4. I mean, not mad about more dinosaurs, but kind of just a weird, I don't know how long the movie was, 2 hours.
It needed more dinosaurs, though. Like, it shouldn't have been about locusts. It should have been about dinosaurs.
Yeah, they mentioned that. They're like, locusts aren't, they're not a dinosaur, but it is a horrifying,
Right.
It's part of that joke that like things were a lot bigger back then. Like just normal insects today were fucking huge in that
Well,
day.
if Tex would have his way, everything would be big in Texas then and now.
True.
But
Just saying.
Did I make
He's
up for
hiding
saying
a-
Halloween Ends is the best film of the year? With saying
No,
that?
you're still dead to me.
Oh,
There's nothing you
damn
can
it.
do. Anyways, Cora, what's your number 4?
Wow. Shut up, woman. Give me your
Moving
number
on to
4.
Cora's number 4.
Good segue. That was amazing.
My number 4 is Don't Worry, Darling. I like this for the time period it was set in. The casting was on point. Chris Pine was the perfect lovable bad guy, and Harry Styles was okay, and he didn't ruin the movie as I feared. The ending, I won't give it away, but wow, it was quite the plot twist, and I thoroughly loved guessing what was going to happen next through the whole movie. I still want more of the movie if they ever were to do a follow-up sequel, but I doubt they will. And I'm telling you, like a little kid waiting for Christmas, I had wished it was based on a book so I could read it before the movie release, but no such luck. So I had to wait fucking months to see it, but it was worth the wait. So there you go.
Yeah, I really wanted to see that at first, and then all the bad press that surrounded it about the time that it actually hit theaters, I kind of was like, maybe I'm gonna wait, because it wasn't just the press; it was the reviews. Because for all the bad press that it got, for all the shit going on between directors and actors and whatnot,
who they're
the
sleeping
reviews
with,
were
blah blah blah.
the reviews on it were very cold, and I'm like, well, sometimes those chaotic movie sets can lead to greatness. But sometimes those chaotic movie sets can lead to a mess, and more often than not, they lead to a mess. So I finally just kind of was like, I think maybe I'll just go ahead and wait until this one drops somewhere, and I'll check it out then. So when it hits a streamer, I'll give it a go. Maybe I'll like it. I hope to like it, because I really liked the trailers. They had me really interested. But just all the other stuff around it, and the kind of lukewarm reception from all the people that had seen it, I was like, maybe I'll go ahead and prioritize something else in front of it. But yeah, I mean, that's a decent number 4. I want it to be good. But I mean, I don't know. We'll have to see. As for me, my number 4. Look, I give Disney a lot of shit for a lot of different reasons. But the one thing Disney has always been very, very, very good at, like I can't think of a real miss they've ever had in this department, is reaching out to the kids of a certain age and helping them transition from the easiest part of your life into a part that can be very, very confusing and very difficult to navigate for some. So my 4th favorite film was Turning Red. I don't really dig the animated stuff all that much. I mean, some of it's good. It's a couple of times it can really blow you away. But this, though, was vintage Disney. This is what Disney has always been better than everybody else at. Basically, and uncomfortable as it may be for some guys to talk about, this kind of takes this funny approach from a girl turning into a woman. I mean, you know what I'm talking about. It's called Turning Red. But
I've never heard of it, but now that you made the reference, I'm never going to not think about a girl getting her period being called Turning Red.
Well,
what the fuck?
But it's a funny...
Probably not the worst thing it's ever been called. So
yeah, really.
Oh my gosh.
It's a really fun way of taking this kind of weird transition in life and letting the people the target audience know that it's going to be okay in the end. Trust me, millions and billions of people have gone through this change. You're going to be fine. It's never actually killed anybody. You're going to be. It seems like it's driving everything wrong now, but you're going to be okay. And this is the one thing that Disney has always done great. And I think that this is just another example of when Disney is at its best. It was fun. There was enough there to keep kids and adults interested.
Did you get a box of tampons with every ticket for this movie?
I did not. I actually watched it on Disney Plus. I was bored one day, so I was like, I'm gonna try this out, and I watched it and I actually liked it a whole lot. But yeah, this is when Disney is at its best. When Disney just focuses on telling a clear, concise, great story and doesn't fill it full with a bunch of other bullshit that they think they need to do to draw viewers. They put out masterpieces just like this. It's a great movie. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, a lot of what drives this movie is just family. It gives you a little bit of like this weird like what's the word I'm looking for? Like not ethnic, but it's like it gives you this weird kind of like the weird fable that it tells about this particular family and their history. It's kind of a spiritual thing as well. I mean, it winds a lot of different threads together to tell a really cool story. I thought it was fantastic. I can't remember any I don't remember if there was any big voice talent in it or not. I don't think I've ever actually looked. I'm gonna have to look to find out. But I thought it was a fantastic movie. It was a whole lot of fun. I want to see. I'm pretty sure there was one big name in it that I have to look real quick. I think the one girl from Everything Everywhere All at Once was in it. Pretty sure. I think she did the voice of the mother. Let's check real quick to make sure. Maybe there was some. There might have been a few more there. I don't know. But yeah, it was a really fun movie. It was the kind of movie you can sit and watch with your kids. Sandra Oh was in it. That wasn't who I was thinking of. But Sandra Oh did the voice of the mother, I think. But and a bunch of other names that I don't recognize. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Yeah, she was the mother. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. I thought it was a really good movie. It's what Disney does best when they're not trying to be obnoxious about inclusivity. When you just tell a good story, this is what Disney's always done best. So my number 4 was Turning Red. Probably a weird one for me to pick. Some of you might think, but it was worth putting on the list. I think it was a really good movie. Anyway, Tex, what's the next movie you want to talk about?
Number 3 for me was Scream 5, directed by Radio Silence. Now, this was obviously the 5th entry into the Scream franchise. It was not quite a new imagining. It obviously kept the lore from the previous 4 films and just built upon it with new cast and sprinkling in of the legacy characters.
Mm-hmm.
You know, obviously, you know, Courtney Cox, Nev Campbell, David Arquette all come back. For anybody who hasn't seen, I won't spoil who the killers are or who dies, because that's the whole point of these movies. But I thought it was a well-executed slasher film, and it made a ton of money. It was very popular. I mean, Scream 6 is coming out early, 2023. It reinvigorated the horror genre. Obviously, Halloween 2018, when it came out, it kicked everything off. But Scream followed suit and delivered. It delivered on the nostalgia hit that made Scream great the first 4 times. Not so much maybe 2 or 3, but especially in 1. And it really tied to that first film. You get to see some really familiar locations, especially from the first movie, if you haven't seen it, so pay attention. And for genre fans of the horror variety, this is just junk food. It's great. And we've got a whole new cast of characters, new motivations. The killers in this movie, I loved their motivation for why they're doing what they're doing. And when you watch these killers to see what or the reasoning behind it, look at fandom, and just kind of put it in that perspective, and you'll see what I'm talking about. But we're back in Woodsboro. Obviously, Scream 6 will be in New York, so they played it safe with Scream 5. Like I said, they hit the nostalgia points. They brought back the legacy characters. They gave us something new. They still kept it meta, which makes Scream scream. And they just delivered us a quality slasher film. And it's an enjoyable watch. Some of the characters are a little annoying, but you know what? Ghostface might hack him to death, so go check it out and see who dies. But like I said, for me, it's Scream 5 at number 3. I really enjoyed this
film. Jeremy, how about you? What's the number 3 film for you this year? Muted. Jeremy, you're muted. Unmute.
Unmute.
Motherfucker!
Come back from the upside down. You have to hit unmute to come here.
Good reference.
I'm sorry, I should have turned the camera, Should have done a little God, son of a bitch. Right, a little noisy mix. That's okay. I didn't really get anywhere. And it doesn't really matter because my number 3 coming right down the middle, Cora stole mine. It was Multiverse of Madness.
Hey,
so
I haven't said anything, but you stole one of mine, and you're gonna have to wait to find out which one it is.
Hey, you stole one of mine too, so screw off.
Oh my God. Thought there was that many movies in 2022. Well, I was also hoping some of you guys would pick like other ones so we'd have, not have this happen. But
why do you think I did only horror for, just to be different?
I had 2 horror movies on mine.
Actually.
Y'all talk about that.
All right. Yeah. So I put Multiverse of Madness for number 3 because Probably the best thing that, I mean, honestly, that followed, after Endgame and all that was WandaVision. And this is kind of like WandaVision's epilogue, WandaVision 2.0, or 1.5, really, I guess, if there's going to be any more WandaVision, or I guess we should just say Wanda at this point, because where the hell is Vision?
Hey, he and Nick Fury are off on a mission. That's what I keep telling myself.
They fucking better be, and you better at least give me some...
They're building New Earth, where Stanley lives, or he's been reincarnated with, Captain Picard.
It's on the moon with Captain America, remember?
Technology.
Yeah. Or, you know what, it could be, hey, this multiverse of madness, like we saw that one little animated world. I'm like, I don't know, Stan Lee could be there in some animated form. Who knows?
His dead body could be reanimated out of the grave. Like
that'd be What If Zombies. If we see a zombie Stan Lee. That'd be cool.
Now, I can't wait to see She-Hulk being your number one, and you making the exception.
Now, see,
it's not a movie.
Frank didn't say TV show, so you guys missed out on that. I'm
sorry. Wasn't going to be on my top list either.
Sorry to disappoint you guys. You didn't say TV shows. If I had a score lower than 10, which I'm surprised I got that far, it would have... Actually, I don't know if it would have beaten number 10. It might have. I have a hatred for both, so... Yeah, I didn't... I hate this movie. It was fun. I liked seeing. I mean, it was Sam Raimi, so again, like we've been saying, like the text here with the horror stuff. I mean, if there's anything that he does right, man, if we saw with the Spider-Man, he does horror movies and he does superheroes, and damn, was this a good mashup of both. I mean, seeing Wanda go on a destructive rampage, after the events of Westview, I could not think of the town's name. Wow. Kind of makes sense. And it was fun seeing the X-Men / Fantastic Four / the Illuminati.
Reed, whatever his name was.
He turned into Play-Doh.
Yeah, the smartest man alive got outplayed. So
your kids have a mom, yeah. Boom, you're dead.
Right. Hey, Blue Bolt. You know where your kids are. Tell her. Boom. Problem solved. And I had to sit here and watch Professor X die again, which I was not okay with.
I'm tired of watching Patrick Stewart die in movies. Like, it just upsets me.
It's kind of disrespectful to have a guy who's already crippled to break his neck. Isn't it like,
especially a mutant that powerful, especially with his mind.
That's what I'm saying.
Let's be honest. His magic wheelchair probably does more than most people's legs, okay? Just saying.
I'm saying. He's already got spinal damage. Why are we going for the spine again? Do something else. Shoot him in the head. Get creative here.
No, don't shoot Patrick Stewart in the head. No.
Just do something else.
It's that meme of, if I had a quarter for a time this happened, I'd have 2 quarters. It's not a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. It's weird that I had to have Patrick Stewart's version of Professor X get killed twice, in Logan and then now in this. And I'm like, man, come on. I bawled like a bitch when he died in Logan. It was not okay.
And don't forget Picard on the TV show. He died there too, briefly before
I'm just saying, like, specifically that character, and also being that it was him portraying that same character twice.
Yeah.
This one was more of like a fuck. And I realized there was kids behind me, and I was like, oh, I'm sorry. Like little kids. I was mad. Okay, I was like, "Look, kid, I'm mad. All right, it's fine. Don't worry about it." I didn't freak out over a show that you weren't even fucking around for. You weren't even twinkling your dad's eye yet, or the little X-Men team when he came out. I was like, "Oh!" I got excited. That little diddle-doo-doo-doo. I was like, I heard that. I got excited. But you know what? It didn't exactly blow me away, but it didn't hate it either. So I don't know. I'll kind of see where that whole situation leaves. In the future, if we're going to come back and maybe revisit some part of that.
Cool.
Cora, how about you? What's the third favorite movie you had of this year?
That would be one of 2, maybe 4 movies ever that I like a movie with Tom Cruise in it. That would be Top Gun Maverick. It's better than the original. Fantastic casting. Great musical score. Like I said, not a Tom Cruise fan, but he rocked his character then and now, and I have great respect for the writers, and producers and directors who found a way to include Val Kilmer with his real life health conditions. Fucking on point, very respectful, like that. I didn't know I wanted a sequel to Top Gun, but I'm glad we got one. I actually bought it on physical media because I loved it so much. And some of my favorite scenes were just the cinematography, and I don't know how much CG it was, of the actual planes flying. It just was a really great movie, and I probably will watch it at least once a year, and maybe more often than the
Nice.
original.
Wow.
So there's my number 3.
Nice.
I like it.
We may be hearing more about that movie at some point, but let's see. My third favorite film of the year. This was one of the ones that I was really, really looking forward to coming into the year, and it did not disappoint at all. And that's The Northman. It is a. I generally don't.
I like that.
I generally don't go for like the sword and shield stuff. It doesn't always do a lot for me. It's really got to stand out to do anything for me. But this movie was so subtly brilliant. The action is great, but this movie doesn't rely on action. There's a very deep story, very deep connections between these characters that I got myself enthralled in the very beginning. It was a great story of revenge. Revenge is great for action movies like this. It's a great story of revenge and family and pain and suffering and the loyalty that you have to the idea. In no way did this movie fail me at all. I mean, it's loaded with great talent. I mean, it's got Nicole Kidman, let's see, Alexander Skarsgård, Anya Taylor-Joy, Ethan Hawke, Willem Dafoe. I mean, this movie is loaded with people who are just awesome at what they do. And all that talent, along with a great story, makes a fantastic movie. So one of the few movies that I was really looking forward to coming to this year that either A, I didn't get a chance to see, or didn't disappoint me. This is one of the 2 movies. So yeah, The Northman, go check it out. Again, it's a bit different. It's not a straight up action movie. There's a lot of really heavy dialogue.
It's an epic drama.
It is a very epic drama. So it's not a straight up action flick. So if you're going in there, don't get me wrong, the fight scenes are pretty dope, but that's not what carries the movie. What carries the movie is the great story and stuff like that. So definitely go check it out. I really enjoyed it. The Northman, I think it's available on Prime right now for free. So if you haven't seen it, go check it out. A little bit on the long side. Probably could have nipped a little bit out of it here and there, but that's really my only knock in the movie. The pace wasn't bad. Everything else about it was really. Everything was about the movie was really, really good. So go check out The Northman. Tex, what's the next movie you want to talk about tonight?
Number 2 would be Texas Chainsaw Massacre, produced by Netflix. And this was a film by David Blue Garcia. Now, I had this is one I was worried about. It wasn't shot in America, not even in Texas. It was shot over in Bulgaria or somewhere, I believe it was. Yeah, it was overseas. Literally, the town that you see created, they built that whole town for this movie. That's how cheap you can make movies over there. But obviously, like Jeremy alluded to earlier, our love for Texas Chainsaw has no end. You know, on my deathbed, I'll be asking to rewatch the film probably. So,
if you were in a coma, this is the movie you would want on repeat.
No,
entertain you.
Not this version, but
okay.
You know, one in this series would be, but specifically on this one, this felt like a return to its roots. And obviously there's been 3, 4, 5 different timelines that somehow connect to the 74 film. Mm-hmm. Trying to explain it, I don't have enough time in this podcast to explain Texas Chainsaw Massacre timelines. I need like a 4-hour podcast.
No. You need your own YouTube channel and talk weekly.
Yes, I need whiteboards with like a little string and the whole thing. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I could explain it. I understand it, but it's going to take me a while. But no, this film specifically, it's a slow start. When I first saw this movie, I hated it. The first 30 minutes drove me crazy. It's preachy. It's preachy, woke, social commentary. Mm-hmm. Oh, there's a Confederate flag. We got to take it, like the whole thing. But once Leatherface's adoptive mother dies, holy crap.
It is off.
It goes off. Okay, the scene in the sunflower field. incredible and amazing. The way, I mean, you see just that shot of Leatherface rising from the sunflowers, like he's, being called to heaven, is just like, oh my God, I want that as a poster. And then when he puts her face on and he's standing there, and then he goes back to the town, and there's a town full of these liberal yuppies that don't know what's coming to them. And
you're kind.
The slaughter that takes place. Yes, Leatherface is old, and I'm tired of bringing back the original version of these slashers. I want the younger version so they're more, effective. But the way Leatherface handles these people is incredible. And the bus scene, Jeremy knows what I'm talking about here. When Leatherface is slaughtering people in this town, and he walks into that bus, he is covered in blood and entrails and guts with a chainsaw. What do these bunch of liberal yuppies do? They pull out a cell phone, start putting him on Instagram, get ready to get canceled, bro. And then he slices them like they're cheap.
How many people did he kill in the movie?
And then he canceled all of them.
Oh, I don't know. At least 20 to 30. I couldn't even tell you.
It was a big bus, man.
Timeline-wise, in one day, or is it like over like weeks?
Oh, no, this is like one day. This is like maybe a day and a half. Yeah.
I think it's like they get there maybe in the middle of the day to the town.
Yeah, it's something like that.
So they could do a mass grave basically at the end of this.
He goes.
Then,
I mean, like,
when it gets down to nighttime, it starts raining. He's just going the hell out. Morning is when they leave, and that's when
that bus massacre scene.
Woo!
Oh my God, like that is mind blowing. And it's so funny because that's how people really would be. They wouldn't run and for their life. They're pulling out their phones and taking pictures.
Actually, pull a gun out and I'd shoot him between the eyes.
This is Texas, but that's the problem.
That's what makes this so funny. This is an abandoned. Okay, this is literally an abandoned Texan town in the middle of West Texas, nowhere. There is one dude like me that was armed to the teeth. Everybody else is a bunch of yuppies from Austin that got what they had coming to them. And what makes this even better is the kids. The whole reason why and I'm just going to go ahead and throw the spoilers out here because this film deserves it. You still need to go watch it. There's a dispute over the building that Leatherface's mom lives in. These young people are basically moving in to take over the town, right? And they think, oh, well, no, I bought this. I own it. Well, they don't have the deed. And they basically push this woman so hard that she has a heart attack and dies because of it. And that's what sends Leatherface over the edge. When in reality, she actually did own that home. And she was justified. They were the wrong people in this. That's what made it so sweet. And the ending scene.
They did realize it there for a second. The girl was like, oh, crap, and I think we just killed her.
Right.
Like, that's the shit moment.
Oh, they completely deserved it. They completely deserve what they got. And that ending shot where they're in that stupid little electric car Prius these Democrats love to drive, and Leatherface reaches up, grabs her by her hair, and just that chainsaw right through the neck, buddy.
God, that was awesome.
Perfect way to laugh. I was applauding. This film made me hate it to love it within 90 minutes. I was laughing by the end of this film. I love it. I'm not going to say it's top 3. It might be 4 for me within the Texas Chainsaw franchise, but I adore this movie just for what it becomes in the end. I cannot recommend it enough, and I want more of it.
Well, Jeremy, how about you? What's the number? Number 2 now?
Number 2.
2.
Well, I guess let's keep the horror train rolling.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I guess you could also call poor old Leatherface an orphan. Except the same.
He was.
Yeah. His first kill. Yeah, it was orphan first kill.
That almost made my list too.
Yeah, I honestly I was kind of scrolling through like movies and I was getting to like the earlier stuff or stuff that I kind of forgot 6 months ago that came out. And I remembered that. I was like, oh, that's right. Because I loved the original movie. I thought it was pretty sweet. And you know what? Even the amount of just like ick and uncomfortable you feel watching that movie. Yeah. And then the twist, you're like, oh my God, that's even worse. No, Jesus Christ. And then like watching it back, knowing what you know, it gets even worse. I'm like, it's a great movie. It came out in like what 2009 or something like that. So for this to now
it was early 2000s. Yeah.
Yeah. So now you have this sequel this year, and which is actually a prequel because I know nothing can ever happen make sense. Yeah, nothing can make sense anymore in horror.
Right.
But honestly, I didn't hate it. You know me. Every time I see some 30, 40-year sequel, you hear me groan as loud as I can. I'm like, God, stop it. Like, but you know what? I'm like, I'm not mad about this. This was actually pretty well done. And to be honest, it's not over glaring that obviously it's the same girl who, again, I intend this pun fully, absolutely kills it in this movie.
Oh, 100%.
That actress. And I'm like, now it's kind of more fun because she was like 12 years old when she made that movie. She was underage. I'm like, now she's like in her early mid-20s. I'm like, you can kind of do more now with that actress, being that she's not underage and a kid. So it's kind of more fun, but it's like, it doesn't overshadow that that she's like 12 years older. She still plays that pretty well. It's forced perspective shots, makeup. It's probably some digital stuff, but like, it doesn't take away anything from the movie that it's what happened before. It's the family that they mentioned that she was with before the family we see get her in the first movie. And it's like you don't know the story, but you're still invested. Like, oh well, obviously we know she makes it, but damn, what a ride! And even the twist in that movie, they still managed to do like a wild twist. Maybe not quite as wild as the first one, but I mean, it was like, oh damn,
it's not as wild, but it's just as effective, I would argue.
It's still messed up, and it's like, oh my god, it's like that in a sitcom, we're all in the know of something going on right here, and we're all trying to step on someone's toe and be like, yeah, right, buddy, you know what I'm talking about, and trying to outplay each other. But I thought it was awesome. The thing with like the color palette and the bright neon shit. Even in a really dark movie like this, it works.
Oh, yeah.
I love it.
Lady Cora, how about you? What was your second favorite movie of the year?
Well, you kind of stole it, but I got some more stuff to say about it.
Okay.
The Northman. So.
Oh, I didn't steal it. He did. Okay.
That one. He did.
Did I take your number one?
Maybe.
Oh, I'm sorry. I feel a little bit worse now. Sorry.
Yeah, obviously her favorite film of the year was Orphan First Kill. Yeah,
totally
her thing.
She talks about it all the time. It's great.
Yeah,
she's wearing the T-shirt right now. Yeah.
Yep. All right. So I've always been fascinated with Viking history and the lore of Valhalla. And Wagner was inspired as well by it, so much so that he wrote the 4 operas in the late 1800s that were his life passion, collectively called The Ring of Nibelung. And it's 16 hours of amazingness, just saying. It is an adaptation of several ancient texts, kind of like this movie. And in a similar way, this very movie was based on the 12th century Scandinavian legend called Vita Omleti. And it was also the inspiration for the one and only Shakespeare to write Hamlet. So there's a lot of history behind this movie that is just moving for anybody who's a history buff. Specifically, this movie, it was brutal, but historically accurate in the violence of the time, set in the 10th century. For me, it was a little rough sometimes, but I just, pushed past it. And it seems like a classic revenge quest, but it becomes a fascinating character arc and glimpse into the lives of our ancestors' lives, which captivated my attention. And you mix the mythical stuff with the real feelings of the characters you're getting to know, and it just kind of draws you in. Stunning visuals, great casting, William Dafoe, Nicole Kidman, Ethan Hawke, and many more grace this movie. The star Alexander Skarsgård was meant for this role, and I first was introduced to him in True Blood, thought he was great then. This blows that out of the water. And I also bought this on physical media and plan to watch it annually, so that's my number 2.
Yeah, this was a big passion project. I didn't think to talk about this a minute ago. This is a big passion project for Alexander Skarsgård. This is something he'd worked on for a long, long time, and it definitely comes through in his performance. This is something that he really wanted to get right, and I think he did, like by a lot. So, but my number 2, man, I bounced back and forth between 1 and 2. I could go either way on these. 1A, whatever you want to say it, but one of them had to be number 2. My number 2 was Top Gun Maverick. Look,
Nice.
I was worried about this going into it. I'm like, is Tom Cruise enough to sell this movie? First movie, I mean, it is what it is. Very American loving, very celebratory of the military, all those things that it's really hard to make a movie these days because the national appetite, the national view of the world has changed a lot over the last 150 years since that last movie came out. So I didn't know if the character in that world and that portrayal would be seen the same way. But damn, it's like you cannot argue the fact that this movie has made money hand over fist. I mean, it is we'll go over the box office here in just a little bit, but it is the highest grossing movie on the planet for a reason. It's damn good. Wow. And I'm not going to lie, this movie is in it. As far as I'm concerned, we talk often as movie fans about what are the great sequels. Obviously, Terminator 2 and Aliens are the movies that everybody talks about. There's others that can be sprinkled in there, but I'm not going to lie. I watched this again the other day. I watched it with Jennifer, who watched it for the first time. And I was thinking to myself over the course of the movie, I'm like, I've got to put this movie up there with Aliens and with Terminator 2 as the best sequel ever. It overachieved in every way. And to top it off, the acting is fantastic. John Hamm is great in it. Tom Cruise is still Tom Cruise. He plays Tom Cruise in every movie, but it works so well in this one. John Hamm is great. The little bit that we get to see Ed Harris is great. I love Miles Teller. He is the younger version of what all those guys in the original movie was. He is that modern day version of that hotshot seat jockey. The supporting characters are fantastic. I mean, yeah, I've heard some people kind of get pissy about having the one girl fighter pilot, like it's all about inclusivity. You don't notice that in the movie. She's every bit as badass as they are. I mean, she holds her own very, very well. She fits in perfectly in the world that they are building here. It was not something they squeezed in there just to have a woman as a pilot. She is an important part of this movie. Her role is amazing. I can't think of anything wrong with this movie right now as I sit here and look at it. I mean, it probably ran a little long in spots, and there were some differences from the first one that I thought they could have kind of like touched on it again. But like Cora said earlier, the scene with Val Kilmer, that conversation between him and Maverick, it makes the entire movie. I mean, it's like, because the movie's good on its own, but the way that one scene between them, it's no action, it's all dialogue, it's all emotion and feeling. The way it ties the whole movie together and connects it in a very, very real and amazing way to the original film was just so damn good. I honestly, this movie blew me away. It took 112 years, it seemed, to get this thing to theaters. They first dropped the trailer for this thing, get this, at CinemaCon in 2019. It took that long to get this out. And then, I mean, obviously, pandemic played a role in it and all, but it's like Tom Cruise kept putting it off because he wanted to do more actual flying, and he wanted more practical stuff. He really went all out to make this an amazing spectacle of film, and it really is. And every frame of this movie is awesome. And on top of that, it's been a long time since I've seen Jennifer Connelly in a role that I've liked her in. Jennifer Connelly's
I didn't want to say anything,
actress.
But I'm not a fan of hers. And
Jennifer Connelly's not a bad actress. She's been in a lot of movies that aren't very good, and I think it kind of takes people tend to forget how good she is. She is finally in a role that I loved as the love interest, and on top of that, she plays a love interest that actually isn't mentioned in the first movie. She's Penny, but she gets a quick mention. But the fact that they actually flesh her character out in such a great way and make her significant to Maverick's past, it made it that much better. She wasn't just the love interest for this movie that he meets in a bar. It was somebody significant to him, which made it that much funner. I mean, the whole thing was great. There was also some interesting growth for Maverick as a character in this film. Like, I really just thought they were going to be like, okay, he's going to go out there, he's going to be the big flyer again, yada, yada, yada. But there is a certain amount of growth. He's in a different place at the end of this film than he is in the beginning of this film. And that was what I wanted to see out of this, because so many of these, because we're getting a lot of these movies now that are coming 20, 30 years after the fact. We don't necessarily always see good character growth for the main character. This one was good character growth. It was kind of everything that I wanted to see. It was real. And that was really nice. But yeah, my number 2 movie was Top Gun Maverick. Let's see. Tex, here it is. Number 1. Who's getting your
Well,
Golden Chainsaw Award
the
for
Golden Chainsaw.
for movie
It
of
is.
the year?
Yes,
Don't sue us, dead meat,
bringing-
James.
I'm bringing this to the show. This is going forth. This will be a thing. So, the horror film of the year, the winner of the Golden Chainsaw, is none other than Terrifier 2. This
Fair.
movie is everything that I love wrapped into a package. It's gory. It's bloody. It doesn't care about your feelings. It's practical 80s style slasher effects. It's got a new. It gives us a new horror icon. It gives us a legendary final girl. This movie delivers on so many things. This film was made for, as Frank says, peanuts, and made millions of dollars. It was supposed to be a one weekend release, and it blew everybody away. This film, obviously Halloween 2018 gets credit for reviving slasher horror. Terrifier 2 gets credit for perfecting it. Art the Clown now belongs on the Mount Rushmore with Freddy, Jason, Michael, every single one of them.
Yeah.
You can put him right next to Jigsaw as a modern horror icon of the of the 2000s. I mean, this movie, I saw in theaters. I had to drive 45 minutes to find the theater, and I went and paid extra just to go see this movie.
Nice.
I went out of my way to find it, and I've got it on physical media. I can't wait for action figures and merchandise. I can't wait for Terrifier 3. David Howard Thornton as Art the Clown. He's better than Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger, and I would argue that with anybody. This dude is legendary.
That's a bold claim, but I would probably maybe not but he is right there.
Well, I'll tell you why he's better. The original intent of Freddy wasn't joking. Freddy didn't become joking till sequels. Art the Clown is a sadistic killer with a childlike tendency, and he loves what he's doing, and he makes no bones about it.
So maybe kind of like Jason, who is childish because he's technically a child.
Right. This Art the Clown he's exactly what horror needed. He's not wearing bright colors. He's not. He almost blends into the background if you're not paying attention to him. That like he has this kind of characteristic to him where he just turns on, and it's incredible. Just if you haven't seen the movie, just put in Clown Cafe on YouTube. It's a song. It's a jingle song that they have like a fake commercial within the film. Once you hear the song one time, it'll be stuck in your head. I can hear it in mine. I'm singing it right now. And Lauren Lavera, she plays the final girl in this film. You can put her next to Sidney Prescott, next to Laurie Strode, next to Amy Steele and Friday. She's on that level. I cannot praise this movie enough. And my Golden Chains, if I could give it 3 Golden Chainsaws, I would. Terrifier 2, God bless you, sir, for this movie. I love it. I might watch it tonight. Who knows? I love this film.
Jeremy, what about you? What was the best film that you saw in 2022?
Obviously, it was Avatar.
Wow.
I'm kidding.
Oh, I was fixing to say.
I caught it.
No.
Sorry. I was still singing Clown Cafe in my head. I hadn't caught up yet. So.
He's somewhere else.
Yeah.
No.
I was waiting for you to explain yourself.
You're like, wow, really? No. Hell no. This probably should be no surprise to anybody, but my favorite movie this year was The Batman.
Okay.
And I'm not going to... I almost went a different clown route there. So you think it's good? I do. And I'm tired of pretending it's not. You know what? Yeah, because love it or hate it, man. Batman fan or not, I don't know, man. There was nothing about this movie. And I mean, I know this is coming from, you guys know, obviously there was probably a big super cut of me saying how much I like Batman. However, as many Batmans as there are, however many more now, Superman we're going to have, and whatever happened with Wonder Woman and Aquaman and all them. I thought this was a really awesome portrayal of Batman. The guy who played Lieutenant Gordon knocked it out of the fucking park.
Jeffrey Wright.
Jeffrey Wright. I don't know why I'm blanking on the guy who played Penguin. Jesus Christ, I'm not on it today.
Colin Farrell.
The Irish guy, yeah. Colin Farrell, been a great Penguin. I guess really my only qualm is maybe see some more of him because I thought he was pretty damn awesome. And all that makeup and effects, I mean, holy crap. You would never even have known that was him. You thought he walked right off the fucking set of the next Goodfellas movie. You know what I mean? Like just visually, and visually this movie was just insane. It didn't have a whole lot of, I mean, yeah, it's Gotham, it's dark, it's the little red undertones of some of the stuff, like with the flare and him like leading the people out of the water and shit like that. This felt like a more true, down to earth Batman film because we all know he's the world's greatest detective. That's what this felt like, and I mean, whether you like slow burns or not, I mean, I know this was a long movie, but this is that weird thing I have. I know people probably going to tell me, like, you know, I'm like, oh, you didn't know Wakanda Forever was 20 hours long? No, I fucking didn't. But why didn't you look at the thing? Because I just don't. I don't know. I just buy the ticket. I want to go see the movie, and I see it, and then I'm like, if I feel every minute of that movie, if it drags and I feel it, I'm kind of just like, okay, my God, get there. Come on. I don't really care anymore. Let's get there. But, like, I never had that this whole movie. It's like I kind of knew it was long, but I didn't feel that. You know what I mean? Like it just.
You think they should have put the bonus scenes in that you had to go on YouTube to find?
Oh shit! I would have watched it.
No, if they had done that, it would have took the whole movie over. That's all people would have talked about.
Hey, we sat here and watched 4 hours of a
Snyder
cut. So
hey,
yeah,
I had to take
but
a break halfway and like go outside, walk around a little, make some food. It just
oh
was
come
too
on!
long.
When you do Titanic, when you do Gone with the Wind, when you do Lord of the Rings extended,
Hey,
yeah, you got to
Gone with
switch
the
the
Wind
disc.
is like right up there for me. So
It's
I
also
sit
like
through
4
that.
hours long.
Okay, to each their own. Then you know we all have our.
But you see what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Like you know, like oh, that's great, and you don't mind watching that like at any time.
But also, it's the Snyder cut. It wasn't so much that it's 4 hours. There was so much action. You had to like
it's filled in.
literally absorb it and kind of like just whoosh. I need a minute.
Well, I mean,
that's because the Snyderverse was a comic book movie, whereas the Batman was more like the Nolan films. It was a different kind of Batman movie.
That makes a lot of sense, actually.
Yeah.
And
Thank
maybe
you.
that is why it was my top one for this year, because somewhere I have my top 5 period movies ever.
Yeah.
And The Dark Knight is in there.
Oh, I love that trilogy.
So I mean, specifically,
it used to be for me, but it's knocked down over the years.
Oh, it's been pushed down, but it's still in that top 5 is what I'm saying. It's in there. So yes, that's what I'm saying. This gritty noir type detective story, and again, slow burn, but it gets there, and you're just like, I was just like every step of the way, I was just there for it. Whatever universe it's in, whatever it's doing, I don't care. But you know what? I hope there's more. And I mean that the little extra bit we got with who we obviously know is the Joker now. I really hope we see more of whatever this is about to be with. I mean, that could maybe tease some Joker Riddler stuff going on, maybe, because they're not they're not cellmates, but they're one wall away from each other for having a connecting hotel room there. So I want to see other villains, because like you could still ground some other villains like Mr. Freeze or something into this universe, and it'd be really fucking cool. I did not intend for that pun, but it'd be really cool to see.
There you go.
Yeah, I'd watch that movie again in a heartbeat.
Lady Cora, how about you? What was your favorite movie of 2022?
You know, I really hope Alan's
Cora,
in the chat. Jurassic World Dominion.
Okay.
Wow.
I couldn't have a list without this movie on top. Huge Jurassic Park fan am I, Yoda would say. As soon as the original movie came out in 1993, I read all the books and eagerly awaited more chapters to the saga throughout my life. Little did I know it would take 29 years to see it get to this point of conclusion to really, settle my curious mind to what could be with this franchise. I still want to see more, though. Seeing Alan, Ellie, Owen, and Claire, and of course Ian all together was fucking magic. So I'm overwhelmed and overjoyed to make this my number one for the year, and probably, it's just the gem of 2022 for me. The little kid in me, yeah, it's my number one. So there you go. Hope you're proud, Alan, because it's my number one.
Quit kissing his ass. He already has a woman.
Oh, I don't mean it that way. I don't mean it that way.
He's already in our circle of friends. Don't worry.
Yeah.
He's not going anywhere.
So there you go. There's my number one.
Didn't quite make my list. An enjoyable movie, but didn't quite make my list. It's not on the other. It's not on the other list that we're gonna go over here in just a minute. So that's a good thing.
Oh wait. Edit. I forgot. Halloween Ends is my number 1A above Jurassic World.
I'm blaming you in my suicide note. I'm writing your name down. Just be clear.
Fuck.
Goodbye, Cruel World and Cora.
I'm telling
that movie.
I'm blaming you. So expect police officers when we get off of this, StreamYard's call.
Cora's gonna get swatted after this.
Good thing I live in a small town and all the cops go home at night and don't ever leave the house unless there's a murder.
I'm gonna give them all of your social media and be like, "Hey, she killed me. Go find her." So yeah.
Well, let's see. I guess I'm the only one that still has to give away my first pick. And like I said, I really went back and forth between this movie and Top Gun, but I really, really am glad that we finally got this version. And I am with Jeremy on this when we park our shuttlecrafts in the same shuttle bay, my friend. I gave it to the Batman.
Nice.
Honestly, I think Top Gun Maverick is a better film overall. But here's one of the reasons why I put Batman on top. For decades now, every incarnation of Batman that we have gotten has not really approached the aspect of the character that is one of the most intriguing and makes him a different kind of superhero. And that's the detective Batman. And one of the things that we talked about in our reviews that we did was that this focused on that a lot more than the other iterations of Batman has. And that's one of the best aspects of this character. He's not an alien from the sky like Superman. He's not a mutant like one of the X-Men. He is just a man. Yeah, he's a man with a lot of money, and yeah, his superpower is he's rich.
I'm rich.
But
great line.
But his biggest superpower is that he is a great detective. He puts the shit together in a way that other people cannot. His oddly enough, I hate to say it like this, but it's kind of is. He is kind of a Sherlock Holmes kind of character. He sees the evidence in a different way, and that's why the detective aspect of Batman is so great. And they've never really approached that in the live action stuff. The other thing that makes this movie great is I love Paul Dano. I honestly, I really do think it's not going to happen. I really do think he should at least get nominated for a Best Supporting Actor in this thing. He is so damn good. Uh-huh. It's really, really difficult to make Batman villains look grounded. One of the great things about the Nolan trilogy is that he didn't go after the crazy stuff like Clayman or stuff like that. He didn't make them supernatural or Clayface, whatever. He didn't go after those villains to try to make it a weird movie. He went after the very grounded. Joker is very grounded in that movie. You want thinking of
Bane?
The Scarecrow is very grounded in the movie. Bane is the most outlandish character in all of that entire series, but it's still very grounded. You understand? He could come from the real world. It made sense. And they did the same thing here. It's with Paul Dano. They modeled the Riddler very much after the Zodiac, a real killer that existed.
Interesting.
A real story that we are all familiar with, whether you've seen the movie or whether you're like me, you grew up in the Bay Area. So for better or worse, the Zodiac's kind of a legend. Yes. It hits you at a very different, very personal level. I love the way they put together Gotham. It's somewhere in between the Nolan Gotham and the Tim Burton Gotham. It's got a little bit of a gothic feel, but it still feels like a very real urban setting. There was a lot about this movie just to really love. The performances were great. Little teaser of Joker at the end. I don't know what we're going to get from him in the end. I think the one great thing that DC has going for it right now is this version of Batman and Robert Pattinson. Again, I went back and forth between this and Top Gun, and I think Top Gun is overall a better film for what it is. But the reason I put Batman on top in the end was because this is the closest to great Batman that I've seen yet. It's overall, it's better than Burton's, and I love Burton's Batman. I think that's direct from the comics, and I am not a big Tim Burton fan. I think he's very hit or miss, but his Batman films with Michael Keaton are fantastic. It's the best version of Batman that we've gotten, and I really, really look forward to seeing what kind of improvements they're going to make in the next film. I love the ending of the film. I love the characters. I like that he's building some things very similar to the way that Nolan built his. We're not going right into it with Gordon, the commissioner. He's not the commissioner right off the jump. They're building that world into the comic book world that we already know. So it's I don't know. It was, of all the comic book films, it is one of the best that I've seen in a long, long time. Not just because the pandemic kind of ruined film going for a while, but because there has been kind of a formulaic aspect to superhero films. And this kind of broke that form and said, I'm going to do something a little different. So bravo to Matt Reeves. A great job. All you people that shit on Robert Pattinson, sit the fuck down. He's really good in this movie. He's actually a very good actor. I mean, dude, throw away the Twilight stuff. Look, everybody's got to get their start somewhere. Okay, he got his start in Twilight. Fine. Actually, you could probably go back a little bit further. Probably he got his start in Harry Potter. But I mean, but his big break was certainly the one that really pushed him into A-list stuff is Twilight. Yeah, whatever. But don't shit on the fact that he is a really good actor. Go watch things like The Lighthouse. Go watch things like Water for Elephant. These movies that, for all these people that say that there's no original ideas anymore, go watch those two films. Like 5 people went and watched those things in theaters, and those movies are fantastic.
Or just like me, I'm the only person who apparently watched the movie Tenet and thought it was fucking amazing. That man gut punched me in my emotions in a way that I wasn't
and that's the thing is Christopher Nolan, who made the films with Christian Bale, liked him so much that he put him in Tenet.
Yeah.
So you have to imagine he would have liked him enough to have put him, if he was going to redo Batman and go back to square one and redo it all again, that he wouldn't have cast him in the beginning to do another iteration of Batman. You're nuts. He is a very, very good actor. I'm really happy that he's getting it, that he went out there and made the character his own. He was a big part in putting the character together with Matt Reeves. From what I heard, they had a lot of big discussions about how they were going to portray the character, portray the world, and it worked out fantastic for me. It's the Batman that I've wanted. I still think there's some things to get better. Movie's a bit long. Third act was really good. Second act, you could have trimmed it down a little bit, kind of in the middle, and streamlined it a bit. But I love the fact that look, Colin Farrell, you would not know that was him if you didn't look at the cast listing beforehand. I mean, he is so well liked. He's getting his own spin-off TV show. Zoe Kravitz is Catwoman. I thought she was a real fun iteration of Catwoman. She's different from the one that we got from like the Adam West stuff, different from the Michelle Pfeiffer, different from the last one with Anne Hathaway. Yeah, way different. Yeah, we don't even talk about Halle Berry. Whew. But
I love how you did skip right over that.
I was skipping that for a reason. But
it didn't happen.
Every actor in this movie did a fantastic job. And again, the third act was a work of brilliance. It's one of the best third acts I've seen in a movie in a long, long time, especially a comic book movie. I mean, it's not Avengers Endgame level third act, but it was awfully damn good. It worked really, really well for a character. So my best movie that I saw in 2022 was The Batman. Now, let me make something very clear. There were a lot of movies that I was really looking forward to going into the year that I haven't had a chance to look at. One of the movies I still haven't seen yet is Cyrano. I really wanted to watch that. That was one of the ones I really anticipated seeing coming into the year. I talked about it about this time last year on the show. I still haven't had a chance to watch it. It went in theaters really quickly. I haven't found it on a streaming service yet, so I'm still looking for that one. I actually just recently saw The Northman because it was like I didn't know. Like I said, another one that came and went really quickly in theaters. Again, part of that is because there's still going to be a COVID hangover in the movie business for a while. I mean, that's why next year is going to be packed. The next couple of years are going to be really, really packed with a lot of big movies. A lot of them were put on hold or filming or just pushed back because of the pandemic.
So everything will be released in 2024.
I would imagine we're going to see a really, really heavy release schedule for probably the next 3 or 4 years. Like it's
I
not
have
going
a
to.
question. for you. So I read an article. An article headline. Do you think it's really true that because of the winter storms and Avatar being released when people couldn't get to the theater, it's really going to damage the historic, value of the movie because the opening
Sounds like an
weekend
excuse
block
to me.
office was fucked for
No,
Avatar 2? Okay.
no. I mean,
Anybody who's going to go see that will.
yeah, hardcore movie fans are going to see it. I mean, I went and saw it.
I just thought
mean,
they were complaining that they didn't get the numbers they expected, and they're blaming it on the weather. So,
well, they can blame whatever they want. Bottom line is, it's going to be in theaters for a while. I mean, look, in my area, like when it came out, yeah, it was pretty cold, but it was pushing 60 degrees today at some point. If my temperature at my computer is to be believed, it's 56 degrees where I live right now. Which is pretty damn warm for late December in the Midwest. So I mean, yeah. So there was a couple of days where it might have turned people off, but trust me, that movie had no problem. Look, hardcore fans do not care about the weather. If there is 25 feet of snow on the ground, if you have to put on snowshoes and mush a group of dogs to the theater to go see the next Marvel movie, you will fucking go.
You mean
hardcore movie fans will find a way.
arc?
Yeah, hardcore movie fans will find a way. Maybe the casual fans who only go to like a movie every couple of months, maybe it kind of put them off. But the movie's going to be out long enough to where it's going to make its money in the long run anyway. So I would say look long run. It might have hurt him.
That's what the ticket sales was. He bought a whole row
Why did
just
they
for his
release it in the
dogs.
summertime? Did they do it because they want Oscar buzz or something? I don't know. It just seems like
Probably
this should have been a summer like blockbuster.
Well, I mean, it's James Cameron.
It's gonna be a year-long blockbuster. What are you talking about, Cora?
Yeah, all you have
that thing's never leaving the theater.
Yeah, all you have to do is say, "Here's the next James Cameron movie," and you're gonna have all the Oscar people like creaming their jeans over it. So, I mean, that's all it takes. But one of the questions is, what does the box office say? Now, let's go to the domestic box office for just a minute and see what the biggest draws were in the United States. Ooh. And you're looking at them right there. Number 1 is Top Gun Maverick. Number 2 was Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Number 3 was Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Number 4 was Jurassic World Dominion. Number 5 was Minions Rise of Gru. Never saw it. Sorry.
No.
Some of the animated stuff just doesn't do it for me. I'm kind of
like
the Minions stuff.
I hate the Minions.
If my kids were still young enough to get into it, I might have gone to the theater to see it.
That's why I got into it, because of my kids. Yeah.
Yeah, my kids have kind of outgrown that kind of stuff. Number 6 was The Batman. Number 7 was Thor: Love and Thunder. Number 8 is Avatar: The Way of Water.
Oof.
Remember where that is on the domestic box office, because when we go to the worldwide box office, there's an interesting disparity.
International.
Number 9 was Sonic the Hedgehog 2. And number 10 was Black Adam.
Nice.
Again, day and date probably could have pushed that up above Sonic if they had just released it in theaters, but whatever. Well, actually, no, it didn't go day and date. That was actually in theaters first. No, the movie just really was that bad. Anyway. But
it was in theaters, yeah.
Yeah, that is the top 10 domestic draws at the box office. Now, when we go worldwide, this is where there's a couple that move around a bit. Top Gun Maverick, still number 1.
Woohoo!
Avatar jumps all the way to number 2.
No, but look at number 3. Woohoo!
Number 3 was Jurassic World Dominion. We all knew it was going to make money. Number 4 was Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Number 5 was Minions Rise of Gru. Number 6 was Black Panther Wakanda Forever. The Batman came in at number 7. Thor: Love and Thunder was at number 8. And at number 9 and 10 are two... I think that
I've heard of
Korean movies that didn't get wide release. One of them was Watergate Bridge. The other one was Moon Man. These are two. I think there's 2 Chinese movies that made a bunch of money, like in the Asian markets, but never got released here in the U.S. So if you haven't heard of 9 or 10, it's not surprised. They probably never.
What I take away from this list is nobody around the world liked Black Panther as much as they did in the U.S.
Well. Here's what I take.
That's a whole topic right there.
Well,
I bet you it didn't even get released in China.
Black Panther did not get released in China, and that's one of the things I bring up right now when I talk about Avatar.
That's a big
market. That's probably why.
Let me
I think I said that.
Yeah, if you release Black Panther in China, you can probably push that up above Doctor Strange pretty easily.
Oh yeah.
But James Cameron did go out of his way to make sure that Avatar got a Chinese release. And I think that's something that's going to happen. If the numbers that I was looking at earlier are correct, what they've made in China is not a huge amount, at least not right now. In the end, it may be bigger, but what they've made in China right now is what has pushed that movie over $1 billion.
Well, what if you took China out of the mix?
If you took away the Chinese market, that movie would be just short of $1 billion.
Okay, I was about to say.
Now it's going to make $1 million anyway, but of course it's run.
But even Cameron said that it had to make 2 to even break even, though.
Well, okay.
You mean ever or in box office? Because he could mean merch, DVD sales, licensing.
Here's the funny thing about that.
For the next 5 years.
Remember, merchandising and stuff like that, I don't think doesn't go towards the amount of money the movie technically makes.
Oh,
that's what a real money the movie's made.
Yeah, merchandising is a separate line of the P&L.
Okay.
Yeah. But right now, as it stands, if I remember correctly, they've only got about $280 million domestically for Avatar. They've made a bulk of their money, probably about 3/4 of their money in the outside markets, which is on par with other movies, but it's well behind a lot of other movies domestically. I mean, if I pull up that domestic thing again, I mean, you're seeing, look, The Minions has outdrawn it. Thor: Love and Thunder,
movie,
which was
though.
not very.
How much?
I don't know.
How much do you think James Cameron and his antics and within interviews and on social media affects that box office at home, though? Because I think it's got a pretty good effect on it. I'll be real honest with you.
Well, you got to remember, 90% of the movie-going audience is not us. They're casual fans. They don't pay attention. They don't read THR. They don't read Variety. They don't read the trades like people like us do, because we're a little bit more steeped in all this stuff. So those fans don't care. They just want to go see the movie. They don't care about the ancillary stuff going on around it. Half these people wouldn't know what the hell was going on during the filming of Don't Worry, Darling. They're like, half the people don't. Honestly, I would be surprised if you went to your local movie theater and you asked 20 people who directed the movie they were going there to see. I guarantee 18 of them wouldn't know.
What?
They wouldn't know. A couple people might. Now the bigger name directors, I mean, sometimes like if you got like a Scorsese or a Spielberg, that's part of the marketing campaign is to put their name all over it. Yeah. But I mean, The Northman, who directed The Northman?
I
don't know who directed it.
I'm blanking on his name. It's right there. Eggers.
Robert Eggers.
That's it.
Robert Eggers. I mean, but that's what I'm saying. It's like most people they're not that in. They only go with the movie to them just exists for that 2 hours at a time period. There's not much else to it other than that. So I don't now.
We do think more deeply about these kind of things than most people.
We do. Most people don't. So I don't think that had a huge impact on things. But before we get out of here, I mean, we got to talk also about some of the movies that maybe didn't quite make our list. I mean, Tex, do you have any honorable mentions? Give me one or two real quick that didn't quite make your top list.
Honorable mentions that I liked that didn't make my top list.
Yeah. Because I know you had a top 10 list. You're ready to go. So what are some of the ones that didn't quite make it to the top 5?
Well,
give us 6 and 7.
Rob Zombie's Mustards was the one that I had to cut. I love this film. I mean, we did a whole separate review of it on this channel. And, you can just go back and watch that and hear all my thoughts about it. That movie was, oh, God, I love that film. It was a throwback to the original show. It honored it, but in a modern way. You could take the family to it. It wasn't your typical Rob Zombie feature, which shocked me, by the way. And it was a lot of fun. And for another honorable mention, that's going to be X. I really enjoyed X. It's in the vein of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. X could exist within the time period and the genre of Texas Chainsaw as if it were in the same world. And the way it was shot, the story broke down, the action, the everything. I really like how Ty West made that film. Now, Pearl, I'll be talking about that here when we get to this other list we're going to do. But Zombies, Monsters, and X would be 2 honorable mentions that I would give that almost made the top 5, but were in the top 10. So I recommend both of those.
Jeremy, how about you? What are a couple of the movies that didn't quite make your list, but you still really enjoyed this last year?
Actually, one that I cut that was close was actually Smile. It kept the horror theme going.
That was number 11 for me. That almost made my top 10. Yeah.
That was number 7. I was like, you know what? I didn't hate it. I mean, honestly, you could have taken the first like right before you, or rather right after you drop the title card. That in itself could have been like a cool little short horror movie you find on Netflix or on YouTube. That intro just blew me away. I was like, oh my
when they
God,
put that sheet
whoa.
over her, oh my God, dude.
The blood
that
just,
was incredible.
yeah.
Yes. Oh my God, I love that.
I wasn't even distracted. Like, there's that really cool poster from The Dark Knight, whereas that like fogged out. You could tell it was the Joker, but the thing that was the prominent thing was that big bloody smile. Like, that's what it reminded me of, but I was like, I wasn't thinking about that. I was just like, oh my God, this bitch just cut her fucking face open. Whoa. Yeah. I thought it was good, and then it kind of, I was like, yeah. I mean, like, I watched Midsummer, and I was like, the beginning, holy hell, did it go? Not even 0. I think it was at 60, and then went straight to 100. And I was like, God damn! And then it smacked a wall, and then I was like, oh, okay. And then it had, weird stuff. It had some pretty tense moments. It had some unsettling things, and then it got there, and it got there at the end. I was like, whoa, okay. That's kind of what that movie did for me, and I didn't hate it. It was like, oh, I get it. It's dealing with like this unresolved trauma in your own main character, and that was kind of a clever, it was like a, hey, now it's passed on to this person, and I'm like, ah, damn, here the cycle goes again, But, that was one.
Cora, how about you? What are some of the movies that
That's all I got.
Didn't quite make your list, but you still want to throw some love to?
Well, it's a little bit of a curveball. I didn't watch the James Bond movie that was released in 2021 till 2022, so I really wanted to put that on my list.
I'm striking that from the record. Nope.
Hey,
asterisk.
hey,
Doesn't count. Nope.
I had to look up if Willy's Wonderland came out in 2021 or 2022.
It was literally,
damn it.
literally
That was going to be in there.
weeks apart. So that was a big one for me. But honestly, there wasn't much more I really loved about movies in 2022 than what's on the list. I have a lot of hate, but
we'll get to that in a minute.
I would say
that list
that's all I got. Yeah.
Well, as for me, look, there's one movie that I really wanted to try to squeeze on my list, but I just couldn't, was Bullet Train. That movie was a lot of fun to watch. It was fun in the way that it was fun to watch something like Kill Bill. A whole lot of great cameos, a lot of really fun action, just enough story to make sense. And great writing and dialogue. It was a lot of fun. I couldn't put it in my top 5. If we'd have gone to 10, I might have put it on there. But it was a really fun movie to watch. It went really under the radar. It's like the trailers were really awesome. A lot of people were really excited about it. But then it came out in theaters, didn't do very well. Went on streaming, and all of a sudden people loved it. And I'm like, you should have gone and seen it in the theaters. I would love to have gone and seen it in the theater. I actually went and saw it in the theater. And I watched it again when it came out on streaming. And that movie it was a whole lot of fun. The other one, and I'll throw a little bit of love. I really look for a horror movie to put in my top 5. Nothing really jumped out at me, but I got to show a little bit of love to Scream 5. The Scream franchise, I've said it a million times, is my least favorite franchise of all the horror franchises. But the first movie's pretty good. Second movie, meh, and then it was diminishing returns after that. This movie finally kind of got back to what made the original movie good. They boiled it back down to what is simple and fun about the entire idea of it all, and I thought it worked out pretty well. I'm interested to see what 6 brings. Not having Sydney in there is going to be a weird dynamic, but I'm willing to give it a look. Obviously,
I suspect you might see her by a end credit scene of some sort. So.
Maybe depends on how much money you want there.
I've seen some on-set pictures that might prove. Oh, yeah, she's not in the movie. Okay.
Well, remember, they had on-set pictures of Tobey Maguire, or not Tobey Maguire, but Tom Holland on the Venom, There Will Be Carnage set, and that never came to be either. But,
no, that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying there's a chance. That's all I'm saying.
The other one, obviously, is Downton Abbey. Me and Cora. We love our Downton Abbey. I thought that was a fun movie.
Yes.
Obviously, the one big moment with the one big death really punched us right in the gut. But I mean, it was a great movie. It continues on that entire story of that whole aristocratic family very, very well. And if you're into those kinds of period pieces, then it's a great movie. The other one, my last one, and I swear to God, if you guys haven't seen this movie, you're missing out, is Weird, the Al Yankovic story.
No, I won't watch it.
I haven't watched that yet.
I will not lie to you. I went in there thinking it was just going to be a goofy spoof, and it is. But it is so damn good. It's, I mean, obviously, and I'm not going to spoil too much of the movie for you, but obviously this is a Weird Al
It's a
Yankovic.
dramatization. It's
not
so.
even. I wouldn't even give it that much credit. It's Weird Al
Okay,
Yankovic
let's say
spoofing
a parody.
It's
Spark.
Weird Al Yankovic spoofing his own life. I mean,
Yeah.
this could have been an airplane movie. The ending is outrageously stupid and so damn funny. Obviously, none of this stuff happens in real life. But I mean, if you've ever watched UHF, the movie that he made back in like '87, it's every bit as fun as that movie. It's ridiculous. It's silly. It's got Weird Al in it. And it's got Daniel Radcliffe. Well, I'm not going to fucking lie. That guy is a hell of a lot better actor than most people give him credit.
He is.
He's also
and you know what?
good.
I mean,
he has the balls to be a theater actor, and he did stage acting naked for some production he did.
I mean, I love Equius.
Equius
was one of the first things he did after Harry Potter. But look, I mean, don't just judge him on Harry Potter. Go see some of the smaller stuff that he's been in. He is damn good. And he is really, really good in this movie playing Weird Al. The whole, like I said, it's just fun. Just go watch it. It's for free on Roku. I don't know what other services it might be on, but it's a fun watch.
It's only on Roku exclusively, I think.
Yeah, it is exclusive. But Roku, I think, is a free service anyway. So you can go watch it.
You have to have their device, I think, or make an account and watch it on their website.
Well, I do have a Roku thing on my TV, so maybe that's why I had it for free. But I laid in bed and watched it one day thinking, whatever. If I fall asleep watching this thing, I'm already laying down. I ended up sitting on the edge of my bed just watching this and laughing my ass off. It was that funny. It was so damn funny. It's so ridiculous. And obviously, 90% of it's absolute bullshit. There's that 10% truth. That 10% that was really about him that makes it all that much better. But anyway, that's my honorable mentions. Some movies that I really wanted to try to squeeze on there, but just couldn't. But now let's get to it. What are some of the movies that really disappointed you this year, Tex? I mean, give me a few of them, just kind of like a lightning round a little bit. What were some of the movies that just either really, really big disappointments or that just completely missed what they were trying to do?
I was gonna say, because I actually had to get up like super fucking early tomorrow for work, so I'm like, let's lightning round this shit, please.
I'll give you a quick top 3 lightning round. Number 3 was Pearl. Pearl is the prequel to X that came out in the same year, and like Kyle West was making them at the same time, and he just nailed them out. But everything that made X great, it seemed like Pearl was less about the horror, less about the action, more about the dramatization and the storytelling. It has its moments, but it was very disappointing to me. Number 2 was Hellraiser. And I'm going to upset my boy AJ Rader here. He's a huge Hellraiser guy. I wanted this to be good. I gave it a fair shot. It just didn't hit for me. The Cenobites, I did not find them intimidating. I hated the new Pinhead. And it just, the whole movie felt off. And then, of course, the number 1 most hated film, the worst film. And this film actually has Kill of the Year for me. And the Kill of the Year in horror is Jamie Lee Curtis and Blumhouse and David Gordon Green destroying The Shape, destroying Halloween, and almost possibly ruining the franchise with Halloween Ends. That movie is horrible. That film should be burned, never to be seen again. We're going to burn every copy. We're going to go to everybody's house who bought one, destroyed the DVD or Blu-ray, because this movie is an atrocity. Jamie Lee Curtis should go to prison for crimes against humanity for making that film. Okay, I'm campaigning that right now. So
Halloween ends tonight.
I have to correct you, everybody. Tex is actually her biggest fan, and he is actually he's the president of her new super PAC to raise money for liberal agenda projects, and this is all a masquerade for him. And he's pretending to be this Texan
I would only vote for
conservative on YouTube, and he actually voted for Biden.
It's all care.
I would only vote for her if you promised me she would get the JFK treatment. Then I would vote for her. Other than that, no thank you. Next. So
Tex is like the president of Jamie Lee Curtis's fan club as much as fucking Selena's.
Hate club, yes.
Selena's president was. I'm
starting a Jamie Lee Curtis hate club, and there's going to have many members in it. It's going to be great.
But one for sure. one for sure. But Jeremy, how about you, real quick? What are some of the movies that just didn't quite get there for you this year?
Oh, hello, Ron. Go back down. The other ones that were on there, like I said, Smile didn't quite make it, but I still enjoyed it. The next one was, and unfortunately, I think this is because of what had all happened more so recently, was Black Adam. I was just kind of like, okay, it was a fun superhero movie, and we had, I guess, for a few more seconds, we had Henry Cavill as Superman, but not anymore.
Oh, God.
So.
Watching that scene that hurts now. I can't go back and watch it.
That
I can't go back and watch it.
right
We got red, white, and blue balled on that one. All right?
Yeah.
No. So that's kind of more so, unfortunately, with the climate of what happened afterwards. So that's it. Again, didn't really blow me away, but that also kind of sucks. They swept the cape out from underneath us there. They said no capes, period.
No capes.
Also, no capes. Next one was Wakanda Forever. Again, that's one where I felt every single fucking second of that movie. And I don't know if that's really just a complaint, but I mean, I don't know what else you were going to do with obviously the big elephant in the room of Chadwick Boseman's death. We went through a movie that said somehow Palpatine returned, and I'm like, whatever. He died of some disease. Move on. Who cares? It's goofy. It's dumb. Whatever. We have a comic book world where basically death means nothing or could mean nothing, essentially.
Okay.
But you know what I mean? I'm like, whatever. Just you have to do something. But I don't know. I was just kind of like, well, what was again the whole point of all this? We still kind of got to the same place we were in the end. Namor was like, oh yeah, I'll totally be your buddy. He did the little WandaVision wink there. I'm like, whatever, dude. Didn't really do anything for me other than I was like, okay, cool, sure, he's Black Panther, I guess. See where that goes. Next one is Tex's favorite, Halloween Ends. I don't think we need to explain that any further. Thank you. That what he just did there is a condensed version of our review. Go watch that. That should explain everything.
That's the whole review of that movie you need right there. That one.
Yeah. And I did a top 10, and the only thing I can think of to put on my top 10, and because I'm an asshole, I put Avatar. And I know we're all thinking, but you didn't see the movie. I'm like, I don't fucking care. I don't have to see the movie. I would have watched the shit out of that movie. Nothing you could have done would have made me like it. I'm still going to put it at my absolute bottom. I don't care. Fuck you, James Cameron. Don't leave your fucking movie in a theater for a year and claim oh, look, I'm the only one running a marathon in a cage match I set up myself, and I'm winning first place all the time. Fuck you, dude.
Instead of going to see Avatar 2, I went ahead and got more testosterone boosters. So I have even
Nobody
more
needs
now.
more testosterone. Especially you, Tex. No. Do you know what you are? You are a testosterone factory that makes way too much product and yield, so much so that you have it in heaping boxes in warehouses, and it's expiring because you have so much of it you can't get rid of it.
I thank you for that, because that just tells me how much of a man I am. So I'm going to make sure and clip that as a reference for when I go out to talk to ladies. I'm going to use that. So thank you.
Yeah, open with that. That should be your line. That was the end of my list there.
Lady Cora, how about you? What are a couple of the movies that really just disappointed you this year?
Well, I was really excited about the movie Black Phone with Ethan Hawke. It was not what I wanted it to be. It was all right.
Yeah.
The short story was fantastically written, and I will say this. It was well done if you're looking for a realistic child abduction drama movie with ghosts mixed into it. I thought it'd be a psychological horror movie, and Ethan Hawke's character was not. It was underwhelming. The masks were cool, I'll say that, but that's about it.
To me, it was a switch. They promised something and then delivered something else.
I mean, I bought it to watch it before I could see the theater, so I spent $20 on this bitch. So I was like,
damn.
The Munster movie, I did not like that we all watched. I just sat there and I'm like, when will this be over? It just was not my thing. So, and then there's this movie called The Invitation. It was a weird horror vampire movie set in present day where she got matched up through DNA, like one of those ancestry things. And I bought it. And I watched it thinking it'd be really cool, but it really wasn't. It was okay. I mean, it was one that you would like watch on Netflix when you have nothing else to watch and you want to watch something you've never seen before that has vampires in it. But I didn't want to pay for it. It was okay.
Did that one take place in California?
Well,
That
she's
movie?
from New York, but the whole story takes place in England. Like she goes there for
Okay,
like
it's
a
different
wedding
movie.
or something, and ends up being her wedding. But anyways, Black Adam, I couldn't even finish it. I was like, no, this is stupid. Then the very last movie I didn't like of 2022 in Texas better be redeeming because I didn't really like Halloween Ends. It was stupid and the ending was unbelievable. I no.
How could they do that to my boy? They put him in a fucking meat
And on top of
turned
that,
to the Godfather. Look how
why
they
the
massacred
fuck
my boy.
didn't they kill Laurie before he died? Like,
I don't know, man.
They had
anyway.
Michael Myers, the Shape, get
There you
beat up
go.
by a grown man who got beat up by band nerds. That is unforgivable.
It's
you know, I
pretty
think
bad.
I'm a first, Frank, to have the same movie on my worst list and my best list. Halloween Ends.
Ugh.
Well, it wouldn't be the strangest thing in the world, but yeah, it's unusual.
Stranger things have happened.
Yeah, no doubt. But yeah, for me, I pay attention to movie marketing very closely. So if there's a movie I think I'm not going to like, I generally just don't go watch it. So there's only really two movies that jumped out at me that were really big disappointments. One of them was Thor: Love and Thunder.
Yes.
I mean, I hold the MCU in very high regards, and this movie was just not there. I mean, they made, and like I said in our review, they made Thor like the third most interesting character in his own damn movie. They didn't have enough Gore the God Butcher. You've got an Oscar-level actor like Christian Bale in there playing a fantastic character.
Mhm.
This movie should have centered really around him, and he's in the movie for like 15 minutes, and he was so damn good. I mean, it was such a great performance by him, and they just didn't write him out at all. I like the fact that they brought Jane Foster back in. I mean, her story arc was fine. It's comic book accurate, but I mean, Thor was just a quivering mass of what he once was in the MCU. It was just not good. Not good at all. The other one, the biggest disappointment of the year for me, was by far Morbius. That
was
disappointing. So much potential. I mean, the advertising. They're going to connect it to Spider-Man. There's going to be this other branch where maybe Spider-Man can go exist away from Tom Holland. Spider-Man can go exist away from the MCU and Iron Man, and maybe be more of his own guy. And the trailers I thought were really cool. And you've got Vulture in there, Michael Keaton's Vulture. What Adrian Toomes? What does that mean? So many questions. None of that. Absolutely none of that. The only thing that saved that movie for me was Matt Smith's portrayal of his friend, who ended up being the bad guy. Because I love Matt Smith in almost everything. I mean, his performance was really good, but even he has come out and said, "Yeah, that movie was kind of shit." I could tell when I was making that movie that it wasn't going to go well. But you've got Jared Leto, who was an Oscar-winning actor, who is a great entertainer. Period. You've got Matt Smith. You've got the story that everybody wants to see. You've got a bigger universe you could have made it a part of. And you didn't do anything with that movie that anybody wanted done. I don't understand why. And the news that came out about how they, at the 11th hour, they started to cut out any references to Spider-Man. I'm like, and the post-credit scenes, what the hell was that? They made no sense.
That was your only reference to Spider-Man.
Yeah, I couldn't get excited about the post-credit scenes because I don't know what the hell your plans are even moving forward. You cut out all the references to Spider-Man. Why have Adrian Toomes fly in? It made no sense to me. I just don't get it. I don't know why they decided to botch that film right at the last second the way they did. I'm not saying that if they'd have left everything in there, the movie would have been great. I'm saying at least this movie could have been the stepping stone into other things for the character. Now I have zero interest in seeing this incarnation of Michael Morbius moving forward. If they make a movie, and they may, look, they're killing it with Venom. They're doing great with the Spider-Man Sony stuff is good. How do you botch this so bad? Especially when you probably had help of a lot of people at Marvel to try to put this thing together and just to try to figure out a way to make this work, if not in the MCU as part of the MCU proper, just to kind of help explain through dialogue or story how he's going to exist over here, the MCU is going to exist over here, and Spider-Man's going to bridge these things, but these two things are never really going to be the same. You could have done that. You had all the tools there available to you. and you fucked it up. And now, and you took a character that I was really, really eager to see by an actor who I really, really love seeing do almost anything on screen, and you fucked it. You turned into a complete train wreck. It was just a bad movie, and I tried really, really hard to like that movie, and I watched it again fairly recently on I think it's on Hulu now, and I was just like I want to find something, and I can't. The movie's just as bad now as it was the first time I saw it. So wildly disappointing. But, obviously, we care about what you guys think. So go down in the comments below. What were some of your favorite movies of 2022? What are some of the ones that were disappointing to you guys? And make sure to come back next week because we're going to be talking about our anticipated movies upcoming in the calendar year 2023. It gets kicked off, let's see, in the next
2023, next year.
Yeah, January is legitimately right around the corner. We're a matter of hours away from 2023 now. So this being the last stream of 2022, probably. I may do something Friday night, maybe. I don't know. It depends on how you feel Friday night when I get home from work. But yeah, this is right now the last scheduled show of 2022. So thank all you guys for a great year. Thanks to all my amazing co-hosts for coming out and hanging out with us and making this show so much fun. Thanks to all you guys watching right now. Foxtrot, Cora's in there. Big Bacon's in there. Casey's been in there. TSS. All these guys. Thanks for coming and hanging out. We really appreciate you guys. Lady Cora, where can the folks at home find you on the internet?
You're muted.
That's where, nowhere. I know what she's gonna say.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yes, good answer.
We sent her to the upside down whenever we pulled Grim Tuesday out. We had to swap them.
At least you pulled me out. At least I didn't run.
She knows I always go to her first, too. That's the best part of it. Anyway, how about you, Jeremy? Where can the folks at home find you on the internet?
Oh, shoot, I was muted. I said a whole bunch of funny shit. God damn it. Motherfucker.
Cora, wake up.
I'm not.
Hey,
I was
hello.
asleep. I was fucking talking. I said you can't find me on the internet. I don't exist anywhere because I'm a futuristic AI program that time travel back here to be on this show because in 10 years it's going to be the biggest YouTube show ever. And yeah, I don't exist.
Prove it from the future. Give me the winning lottery numbers for next week.
Six is gonna say I've got some questions about some stocks I'd like to invest in.
In my timeline, Texas fell off the face of the earth, so I couldn't answer that question.
Damn.
You have no taste in movies. You love Halloween.
Of the whole earth, really?
I did.
What about Mexico? What about like Arizona, all the surrounding area?
It's a big canal right through there.
Just Texas. Just Texas. Aliens came down and abducted the whole state of Texas because they said this is the picturesque, perfect human being here. We need to figure this out.
If that's the case, then Texans would have took over the alien spacecraft and conquered the planet. So you better watch out. Just saying.
They'd have been like, "We bring our guns."
There you go.
Jeremy, how about you? Where can the folks at home find you on the internet?
Well, I was gonna say, hopefully not in the upside down. Jeez. Yeah, I'm on here. I'll still be on here, and also over on Twitch, also on YouTube. It's all the same name, right down there at the bottom. Excuse me. I think I mentioned it before. I know we're going to be doing, thank you. We're going to be doing The Last of Us, which comes out next month, which is also very exciting.
I'm excited.
So I will play the game post-show. And again, I will Yvette Nicole Brown for our / Chris Hardwick for our post viewings of that show. I will do it. I'll bring a notebook, and then, like I said, I'll play the game, and I'll even run commentary and bring out my notes. Yeah, I'll bring out my notes. We'll have some fun with that. I'll try to play the second game again, try to give it a second chance, and I know I'm probably, if you know where, I'm going to just be pissed off for the rest of the game, but I'll try because I love all of you. And again, because I feel like I should, and I bought all the games, given it's still fresh, and I know given that Batman was our number one, it still hurts that we lost Kevin Conroy. So I'll play through the Arkham series again, and actually I might try to play that new game with the Suicide Squad. That was his last
That looks cool.
Yeah, the last time he voiced Batman was for that Suicide Squad game. So I'll check that out as well. It looks pretty sick. Other than that, like I said, I'm just getting my ass beat in Call of Duty because I guess all the Christmas noobs are not in my lobbies because I get more than one kill. So other than that, I might dick around with Generation Zero or I almost said Underworld. Wow. Other Worlds, which is Fallout in space. So there's some fun shit to do. Maybe 2023 will be it, since that is the tail end of my namesake right there, the number. So maybe it's a sign.
2023 will be his big year for Grim Tuesday 23.
Yeah.
There you go.
Tex, how about you? What do you got going on the internet moving into 2023?
Grapping about horror movies like a nerd on Twitter at /Revision and talking about them on here. That's about it.
You can find Tex here with us pretty much every week at this point. He's pretty much a full-time
so
on the channel now.
Yeah, I'm either here on Thursdays or you can get at me on Twitter. Other than that, that's about all I really do. So it's all good. Occasionally, I hang out with Casey over there on his thing.
He doesn't
give him hell, but Casey doesn't count.
No.
I'm not even sure he counts as alive, to be real honest with you.
We don't acknowledge it.
I'm waiting for Casey to predict his own death.
Casey's not canon over here. He's not part of the lore.
Yeah.
There you go.
As for me, you can find me here every Thursday going over all the news that's happening in the world of TV, movies, and streaming. I do at some point, maybe next week, try to get together. I don't know. I know that you guys maybe haven't a chance to see it yet, but I do want to do some kind of a review on Avatar: The Way of Water. So if Jeremy doesn't want to go see it, I'm sure I'll find somebody that wants to talk about it.
That's okay. You can.
I'll tell you what. Your Christmas present for me will be I will watch that movie. I'll watch the first one and the second one.
I'd rather
you just tell me when you want to do it. You'll get my first time review of Avatar 1 and 2 back to back. So
that might be fun to do. We might be able to do that. But also maybe Friday. This is the last, like I said, the last scheduled show of the year. But I may do something Friday. I may just have a hangout Friday. We did one a few days ago that went pretty well. Good viewership.
Yeah, it was cool.
But other than that, thank you to my amazing co-host for being so great this year, for coming to hang out with us today, going over all of our favorite and least favorite movies from 2022. 2023, next week, all of our most anticipated stuff, alongside a couple of the stories that may pop up between now and then. What is that? Is that a butt plug with a star on it?
No, it says Cowboys are number one.
Did they win their game tonight, Tex?
Yes, they're currently up by like 1,000 points right now because we're so awesome. So
I just had a thought, Frank. You should time your hangout on Friday for when Casey's live for his Friday night show, so we can take all his viewers.
I could. It would probably it'd probably be like 9 o'clock, but yeah, maybe.
I can go on Casey's show as a spy and be like, "Hey, everybody, come over to Frank's show and watch the real thing," and then I'll hang up on his, and then I'll hop back over here. I like that idea.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
Nice.
But again, thank you guys very, very much for hanging out with us. Bit longer show than normal tonight, but there was a whole lot to go into. We appreciate all of you. Don't forget to pimp our show out to everybody else. 500 subs, and we'll do our charity stream for the Abandoned Pet Project. I won't go into the whole spiel on that. I swear to God, I've not forgotten about the Patreon. It's just that this is the first time in several weeks I've managed to go a whole stream without having some kind of a serious or even moderate sized issue with my streaming.
Good.
So hopefully that will continue. But I am working on the computer stuff. But yes, join the Patreon. We give away $25 in free movie tickets every month. $5 a month. All you need to do to get into that. There's the link right there. Link is also in the description. Thank you guys very much for coming out with us. We appreciate it very much. I love you all greatly. Thank you for 2022. I look forward to 2023. You guys are phenomenal. Again, thank you so much for being so awesome. Love you guys. And I managed to go this whole stream without Tex bragging about beating me in the playoffs.
Wow.
I don't have to brag. I already have the record of me beating you. That's good enough. Well, like